family a solid 8 figures. I hesitated, then shook my head. Really no? Mom, if you two are short on money, just tell me. My subsidy alone is 100 million a month. And this tournament's broadcast to the whole public. I can't have it tarnishing my glorious image. Even if you won't think of your son, think of your daughter-in-law. She's thin-skinned and couldn't bear it. I trotted out Aaliyah, and at last my parents agreed. Once you become a beast tamer, money really does stop mattering. In the morning, Lu Xian and I watched the matches of the students in our group. I have to say, even though they weren't S rank, their talent was outstanding. All 5 advanced smoothly. In the afternoon, Shangwan Ling came back with the draw results, her face grim. Li Su asked, "Teacher, what's wrong?" She handed over the results. "Average luck. I'm not worried about the others. It's in Ji Shui and Su Yu. Littlin, you're up against Li Mu, an S-rank student specially recruited into the combat division this year. Su Yu, your opponent, is also a combat division S-rank. Leihe. Leihe was said to be a lightning-type beast tamer who specialized in speed. Bad compatibility for me. Lightning types are known for speed and destructive power. If he was fast enough to dodge my blood's pursuit, my talent would have nowhere to apply. The reason I'd had the advantage against Mu Chongwei was that my compatibility hard-countered melee-type beast tamers. I said, "Don't worry, teacher, I've got a plan. It's classmate and I'm concerned about. If it can't be done, don't force it. Because of me, the combat division might." I'd long since made an enemy of the combat division dean, and there was no guaranteeing he hadn't meddled with this draw. I'd also heard Wang Hongxi and Jiang Ying had been specially recruited. There'd be no shortage of conflict ahead. And Ji Shui clenched her fists. I'll give it my best shot. Soon, cheers came from the arena screen. Match 1. Li Mu versus Ji Shui. Both competitors, please take the field. And Ji Shui stepped out, tense. Shangwan Ling said, "Watch closely. The biggest rival in the team battle is the combat division. That Li Mu is said to be the most outstanding freshman in our school this year, 3rd on the Great Xia potential rankings. When the time comes, he'll probably fall to you to deal with, Su Yu." In the spectator stands, my gaze sharpened. The preliminaries used Maoling's top-tier arena, lavishly furnished, able to hold tens of thousands, a field of 500 by 800, its edges ringed by 4 special pets forming an absolute defense barrier that kept the duel from spilling outside. Every seat was filled, and the online stream's heat shot past 100 million in no time. And Ji Shui calmed herself as best she could and walked onto the field. Over these 3 days, she'd spent every credit she had on high-sequence beast meat just to push herself to the transcendent realm before the match. She told herself, inwardly, "Give it everything." The referee said, "The preliminaries place no restriction on abyss armaments. Everyone, stop short of serious harm." Li Mu nodded gently. "Classmate, I look forward to a good match." And Ji Shui didn't dare let her guard down. "Classmate Li, please." The duel began at once. And Ji Shui kept Shangwan Ling's instructions firmly in mind. When unsure of an opponent's ability, open up distance and probe first. And her A-rank talent, Spirit Eye, was exactly suited to that, able to read an opponent's emotions, mana fluctuations, and composition from the faintest change. Wind Chaser Pegasus, carry me aloft. A sequence number 177 beast, snow white down, broad wings, its mobility and impact the pride of its kind. Li Mu looked up at the Pegasus and lightly raised his left hand. And Ji Shui locked onto his movement at once. Spirit Eye. Under the Spirit Eye, Li Mu's talent was laid bare. How can this be? The instant she realized it, it was already too late. His ability had long since unfolded. Li Mu's S-rank talent, Boundary Sever Crossweave, extended countless barely visible threads from his fingers, sharp and tough, forming a sky-spanning net that sealed off every route in Ji Shui had like a birdcage. His pet materialized, crimson all over, 2 horns crowning its head. Shangwan Ling cried out, from the volcano abyss. Number 39, the Scarlet Flame Demon. Littlin, yield, quick. A perfect counter in compatibility. The threads of Boundary Sever Crossweave pinned the Pegasus's mobility. The moment it tried to break free, it would be sliced into mincemeat. The Scarlet Flame Demon's blazing breath sent waves of heat racing along the threads. Demon Flame burns the sky. Boom. Scarlet-black demon flame spread along the threads, reaching in Ji Shui's side in an instant. Knowing she was outmatched, she quickly raised a hand. I.e. Before the words were out, Li Mu calmly twitched his fingers, and the threads of Boundary Sever Crossweave snapped shut, taking the demon flame they'd wrapped up with them. Boom. Littlein. Shangguan Ling sensed disaster and rushed out at once, leaping in to call a halt. But the arena and the live stream had already descended into a frenzy. Ordinary people had no sense at all of how dangerous, how vicious that one strike of Li Mu's had been. They were only cheering the arrival of a new generation genius. This is the strength of an S-rank student. Third on the Great Xia potential rankings, the names well-earned. A Su Yu, a Li Mu, Maling's making its comeback in this year's 9-school alliance. Hey, isn't that girl in a bit of trouble? She had it coming. We pay these sky-high taxes to cultivate powerful beast tamers, not to watch a bunch of useless deadweights play house. Shangguan Ling and the referee charged into the demon flame and pulled Jishui out. The wind chaser Pegasus had shielded her with all it had, but defense wasn't its strength, and Jishui was badly burned across most of her body, and she vomited a large mouthful of blood. And go get a healing division beast tamer now. With countless eyes on her, Shangguan Ling couldn't let her anger show. When Jishui was carried down, our whole group crowded around. Teacher, Jishui, Shui, what happened to you? Was there any need to hit her that hard? I said, Teacher, let me. Aliyah nodded. Crimson points of light rippled, and Jishui's burns receded at a visible rate. Shangguan Ling's eyes contracted sharply. She remembered what the headmaster had told her when she'd gone to see him a couple of days earlier. Briefly, granting the undying trait was enough to heal burns. As Li Mu left the field amid applause, he shot a glance our way. Lu Xian demanded furiously, Li Mu, we're all classmates. She'd already conceded. Why go for the kill anyway? Li Mu's half-smile was infuriating. I just didn't hear her, that's all. Besides, I held back plenty. I didn't think you beast division types were so fragile you couldn't even survive one move of mine. If anything, you should thank me. A little more force, and that girl's beast might have been slaughtered too. Lu Xian's chest heaved. You. Li Mu flicked his hand. Out of my way. This is Moling University. It has no welcome for the weak. If you've got what it takes, say it on the field. Don't run your mouth down here. Lu Xian ground her teeth, itching to throw a punch then and there, but I held her back. Li Mu and I locked eyes, and inside his head the alarm bells maxed out, as if a hunter had marked him. A dangerous one, sure enough. In the beast division, no one but this guy was worth fearing. Even Lu Xian was no match for him. Only Su Yu, the freak among freaks. Still, Li Mu was no pushover himself. What's this? The beast division wants to gang up? I glanced at Jishui. This girl threw herself into everything. She dug up a lot of intel around the school for us, and our joint training these past days owed a lot to her care. When a member of my own squad got hurt, naturally it fell to me, the captain, to settle the score. I was silent a moment. Tomorrow, wait for me to dig out your kneecaps. The combat division students rushed over, the two teams clearly drawn apart. Li Mu said coldly, big talk. You'd better think about how you'll get past Leahy first. Leahy clapped Li Mu on the back. Nice work, Li. So this is the Su Yu everyone's hyping to the skies? Doesn't look like much to me. Kid, the next match is you and me. Shall we get to it? The referee announced. First match, combat division's Li Mu wins. Up next is the only S-rank versus S-rank bout of this round. Combat division's Leahy against Beast division's Su Yu. The stands erupted in a thunderous roar. My last public showing had been so stunning that everyone was waiting for my performance. The scrolling comments nearly overflowed the screen. I shot Leahy a light glance and murmured, then you can regret being my opponent from a hospital bed, mongrel. Veins bulged on the 6'3" giant's face. Heh, just the tone the rumors promised. Li Mu reminded him. Lei, remember the dean's orders? Leahy nodded. Relax, I'll win. No one outruns my lightning. My matchup makes me the best possible person to fight Su Yu. The two took the field. The referee sighed. You too. Abyss armaments are unrestricted, but keep it controlled. But with the bloodlust in both their eyes, neither heard the second half. This was Moling University, a place that bred only the strong. No one would stop them. They'd rather a student be crippled in training than die easily on the battlefield. Leahy said, You think I'm like those trash from the entrance exam? Drawing me is your bad luck. Su Yu, you're the challenger here. The comments scrolled by one after another. Here it comes. Aliyah's hubby is about to take the stage. Go Leahy. Take down Chef Su. Wild. The odds actually favor Leahy to win. Matchup thing, I guess. Experts say Aliyah and Su Yu might struggle against speed types. Even the Star-Mark mentors from Imperial Capital Yuling University and Zhanghe Beast Taming University showed up to watch. Today's marquee match drew huge attention. Star-Mark mentors from other top Beast Taming universities had come to observe as well. Lin, old friend, Zhanghe came too? Here for Su Yu, I take it. Linley nodded. Naturally. Though it's far from certain Su Yu can beat Lei He. Wang Jing gazed at the field. Lei He is, after all, a prodigy ranked 43rd on the Great Xia potential rankings. Su Yu's bizarre gift might land him in the top 10, but in terms of matchup, Lei He has the edge. For a beast tamer with low spiritual power, speed could sometimes be decisive. The strongest power means nothing if it can't land. The odds leaned a bit toward Lei He. The referee swept his hand down. Begin. Lei He and I held our breath, and the instant we heard the word, we both moved. Lei He summoned a number 105 Thunderbird wreathed in lightning beside him, thunder splitting cracks across the ground. His S-rank gift, Lightning Flash, made him immune to lightning damage and let him accelerate by riding the lightning. At the Transcendent tier, his Thunder Flash could already break the sound barrier. Bang! The air cracked as Lei He turned into a bolt of thunder, echoing back and forth with the Thunderbird, carving two annihilating arcs of lightning straight at me. Aaliyah. Behind her, a harp of blood and bone struck up an undead overture. Death cultists him. The spreading notes assailed the Thunderbird's mind. Lei He had come prepared. To counter this very move, he brought a Wraith-grade armament from his family, the Drum of Echoes. Thud! A dense barrage of drum beats neutralized the death cultists him as much as it could. To his surprise, even a Wraith-grade armament couldn't fully cancel the melody. The Thunderbird wasn't controlled, but its movements lagged, its thoughts nearly thrown into chaos. Truly the prodigy senior of last year's class. Without this Wraith weapon, he couldn't imagine how he'd fight. I calmly watched Lei He's movements. It was no surprise he could produce the right Wraith weapon. When Lei He turned to lightning, even my Spirit Stream tier's spiritual sense could catch only afterimages. A genuinely awkward matchup. Lightning flashed. Lei He blinked across the field, and just as he was about to smash into my face, Aaliyah's Blood Queen activated. The blood in Lei He's limbs seemed to seize control, his knees buckling against his will. She could actually catch him as he moved at high speed within the lightning. Good thing he was ready. Another Wraith weapon, the eerie puppet, which let him swap his own injuries with a puppet. The controlled blood was, in an instant, transferred onto the puppet, and Lei He barely tore free of the bind. But the eerie puppet side effect was just as fearsome. Once its effect ended, every wound the puppet took would return to him multiplied. To win, he'd stopped caring about any of that. Su Yu, you're finished. Just as he was about to reach me, a pair of pitch-black dragon wings beat the air behind me, and Aaliyah and I rose into the sky, dodging Lei He's lethal thrust. At the same time, Aaliyah condensed dozens of blood spears and drove them down. Not daring to take them head-on, Lei He dodged on speed alone, then looked up at the two of us hovering above, his expression grave. A flight type abyss armament? You underestimate me, Su Yu. My lightning isn't something you can dodge. The Drum of Echoes beats called the Thunderbird's mind back. It finally shook off the death cultists him and resonated with Lei He's power, its feathers standing up like blades, raining down a dense bombardment under Lightning Flash's boost. Thunder Feather Deluge. Over 1,000 thunder feathers unleashed a barrage more terrifying than a hail of bullets, and the crowd held its breath for me. But the pitch-black wings behind me whipped out a tornado, its piercing shriek sweeping away countless thunder feathers, the invisible sound wave turning into an acoustic blast that bore down on Lei He. He flashed aside in a burst, yet the sound wave still pierced his eardrums. For an instant, he nearly went deaf. Lucky he dodged fast. This Wraith weapon of Su Yu's was extremely high quality, probably forged from a shrieking wyvern's wing. Damn it, keep fighting like this, and soon he'd never withstand the eerie puppet's backlash. Thunderbird. As a direct heir of the Lei family, he could not, under any circumstances, bring shame to his clan. Losing to a mere commoner would be a disgrace for a first-rate beast-taming house. The Thunderbird and Lei He became arcs of lightning, the two arcs weaving into a single, more blinding bolt of incandescent white thunder. It broke the sound barrier at once and shot skyward almost instantly. Two became one. Too fast, faster than anyone could react. The arc became a lightning spear, sworn to run me through. It's over, several Star-Mark mentors concluded. Too fast. Leahy carried an abyss armament that could weaken Aaliyah's power. With my ability, there was no way to dodge that thrust. Bang! The incandescent thunder burst into a mist of blood. The arc had run Suyu through. The spectator's eyes went wide. Had Suyu really? Lin Li's gaze was sharp. No, it's Leahy who's finished. I never imagined Aaliyah's command of blood was this practiced. Suyu's read of the situation is meticulous, hardly like a freshman's. The two of them coordinate seamlessly. Leahy was still basking in the thrill of the strike, certain for a moment he'd won. But when he looked at the puddle of blood on the ground and lifted his head again, he saw something uncanny. Aaliyah and I were still up high, looking down on him. How was that possible? He'd clearly shattered Suyu. Suddenly, the eerie puppet's effect ended. The backlash hadn't come? Could it be? Slow on the uptake. Leahy only now realized everything just now had been under my control. Aaliyah hadn't used Blood Queen to control his blood and deal damage. She'd seized it just once at the very start, and after that merely altered the flow of blood in his eyes a fraction, throwing his visual judgment off by the tiniest margin, and that tiny margin had doomed it all. The puddle of blood had been there all along. Caught inside the trap, Leahy never grasped its meaning. But everyone watching had seen Aaliyah shape a dummy out of blood in my likeness. Leahy, guns blazing and trump cards spent, had charged straight at the dummy and shattered what was nothing more than a puddle of blood. In my hand, a blood-red longbow slowly materialized. Nice little acrobatic show just now. Does your family run a circus? Leahy was so furious his lungs nearly burst. The dragon-like display of power he'd just put on looked, in everyone's eyes, exactly like a clown's act. Laughter and chatter rose and fell through the stands. I thought this was a clash of titans. Turns out it's dinner table entertainment. This is a combat division S rank. Xingdong Fang needs talent like you. Leahy nearly cracked his back molars. Lightning flash. I drew the longbow and said scornfully, sorry to say, speed isn't your specialty alone. Arcs of lightning crackled, but from start to finish, I was the one holding the initiative. Pitch black wings, a blood-red longbow, like a herald of the night blotting out every light before his eyes, until all at once he could see no hope of winning. Impossible. My speed, so you can't possibly keep up. As long as he can't hit me, I can't lose. The lightning wove together again. In my hands, the twilight longbow condensed a crimson arrow brimming with blood energy, and a streak of red light locked onto Leahy and the Thunderbird. Alarm flooded Leahy's skull. That arrow could not be taken head-on. Instinct drove him and the Thunderbird to dart and weave, trying to shake the lock on. The corner of my mouth lifted. It's useless. Whoosh. A streak of blood split the sky, running through the Thunderbird's spine at a speed too fast to track. Scree. The Thunderbird shrieked in pain. The arrow's speed, past Mach 10, was 10 times that of the barely supersonic Leahy and his Thunderbird. Only now did Leahy realize speed was no longer his exclusive domain. My arrow was faster. Pale blue blood dripped from beneath the Thunderbird, leaving 2 arrow holes. Leahy glanced back, saw no fatal wound, and let out a breath. So this Wraith weapon boosted speed, but weakened attack power? That junk bow of yours looks scary enough, but a shame. It's too weak. Suyu, if that's the extent of your skill, just yield like a good boy. He turned into a lightning arc once more and charged at me. The crowd murmured. The arrow does no damage? That fast, and a piercing hit, but all it did was draw a little blood. But in the spectator seats, the visiting Star Mark mentors wore grave expressions. Wang Jing sighed in admiration. A genius, he's actually turned the Wraith weapon's side effect to his advantage. Lin Li gave a sharp assessment. About what we figured. Suyu uses his own blood as a medium to trigger his power. It's very hard to guard against. His compatibility with the vampire is too good. Leahy, thinking my offense was all thunder and no rain, was about to launch another attack. Squelch. A sharp talon punched through Leahy's chest from behind. He turned in disbelief. The one who'd struck was the Thunderbird? The whole arena fell dead silent. The spectators who didn't know what was going on, and everyone in the live stream, were spamming question marks. In the air, I extended my right hand and snapped my fingers. By the king's command, kill your master, Beast. The Thunderbird's 10 talons drove clean through Leahy's chest, bones cracking, blood gushing. Tastes pretty good, doesn't it, Leahy? The speed you're so proud of, the lightning beast you're so proud of, run through by your own beast. How does it feel? Leahy's eyes were full of confusion. When exactly? My blood hadn't hit him or the Thunderbird at all. Could that blood arrow earlier? He caught on too late. The fight was decided. The referee swept his arm. Healing Division Beast Tamers on the field now? Student critically injured. Wang Yu, Dean of the Combat Division, flew into the arena in a rage and demanded, Su Yu, you broke the rules. This was a friendly bout. Why go for the kill? I spread my hands. Teacher Wang, you've got me wrong there. Referee, check carefully. I deliberately avoided the vitals. I only made Lei suffer a little. You ought to be thanking me for showing restraint. Wang Yu was lost for words. After examining, the referee nodded. Rest easy, Dean Wang. Su did avoid the vitals. But get him out for a transfusion. Fast. Don't drag it out. Before Wang Yu could blow up any further, the crowd beat him to it. Can't the combat division take a loss? When the Beast Division girl got hurt a moment ago, her dean didn't jump out like this. Which means Su used the one with real class. He didn't even go for the kill. Wang Yu's face darkened, fingers pointing at him from every direction, deeply embarrassed. The commentator mentor quickly stepped in to save the moment. What a magnificent match. As you all saw, Su Yu once again brought out his command ability. Beast Tamers will have noticed, it was Su Yu's blood arrow. He shot blood into the Thunderbird's body to complete the control. Su Yu's gift was hard to guard against to begin with, and this makes it trickier still. Aaliyah barely had to exert herself. A world away from the pre-match odds. Only the commentary gave Wang Yu cover to slip away quietly. Otherwise, a dean personally stepping onto the field like that would likely have drawn even more criticism. Even though things wrapped up decently at the venue, the nationwide live stream let the incident snowball, and Wang Yu's name shot straight onto the trending lists. People grew ever more curious about my gift, and the speculation kept mounting. The most widely accepted theory, Su Yu's blood had the power to invade a beast's mind, a downright terrifying S-rank gift. It was just that no one knew the strength or range of that control. Not long after the fight, the Great Xia Potential Rankings updated. Great Xia Potential Rankings, number 9, Su Yu. As I stepped down from the arena, Lu Xian, Li Su, and the others ran over. Captain, beautifully done. Shui, the captain avenged you. Healed by Aaliyah's undying. And Ji Shui, after a brief faint, could already walk. She said softly, Su Yu, thank you. I smiled. Just doing my job as captain. As we talked, the combat division folks off to the side scrambled like ants on a hot pan. A replay of the earlier scene, only with the roles reversed this time. Li Mu fixed me with a cold, unblinking stare. I said evenly, don't look at me like that. In your own words, you should thank me for not crippling Leahy. Just sit tight and wait for me to dig out your kneecaps tomorrow. Li Mu clenched his fists. Su Yu, you wait. Who's digging out whose kneecaps is far from settled. Tomorrow I'll show you with raw strength that you and all your pride aren't worth mentioning before our Li family. The draw hadn't happened yet, but everyone knew the combat division, forever taking advantage and never the loss, wouldn't swallow this. The fight was inevitable. Li Mu turned to leave, murmuring as he passed Wang Yu. Don't worry, teacher. Word came from home. They've already prepared a second beast for me. Wang Yu's eyes lit up, his anger vanishing in an instant. Li Mu and I were both at the Spirit Stream tier, both qualified to contract a second beast. The difference was that I, a nobody with no backing, would have a hard time waiting for a suitable beast, whereas the Li family behind Li Mu was a pillar holding up the sky of Great Xia, able to find him a fitting beast in no time. To Wang Yu, the outcome was obvious. 2 beasts against 1, the edge was theirs. Shangwan Ling came over to the 7 of us. Lu Xian, your match is up soon. Go get ready. Su Yu, come with me. The other 6 headed back to the lounge while I followed Shangwan Ling to an office in the administrative building. At the door, she said quietly, First, congratulations. After beating Leahy, you've been entered onto the official Great Xia Potential Rankings. Every student on that list becomes an official cultivation prospect of Great Xia. Inside are people from the 9 guards of Great Xia, here specifically to see you. The 9 guards of Great Xia were the forces stationed at the 9 Great Abysses, 1 unit to each abyss. The unit garrisoned at the demon capital's Calamity Abyss was called the Dragonhawk Guard, based in Redstone City, the front line against the myriad races within the Calamity Abyss. See me? Just routine. Don't worry, it's definitely a good thing for you. Say whatever's on your mind. No need to be stiff. Inside, I saw a man and a woman. The man had a square jaw, a burly build, and a knife scar on his face. The woman had a delicate oval face, stood around 5'7", and was lovely to look at. The moment I saw the two of them, something felt familiar. Just like Mu Changwei, they had the eyes of people long used to killing. The square-jawed man stood. Hello, Suyu. I'm Qin Zhe, Major of the Dragonhawk Guard. We watched your splendid fight and have a few things to discuss. Please, have a seat. Qin Zhe took out a document, his secretary on hand to take notes. Suyu, age 20, became a beast tamer only this year. No gift awakened at the awakening ceremony. Suspected to have awakened an S-rank gift later in life. Beast named Aliat Sepesh, suspected to be a sequence number 99 vampire, former captain of the Blood Spirit Squad. There are a lot of unknowns in the report on you. By regulation, every newcomer on the rankings is a key cultivation prospect of Great Xia. But before that, we'd like a detailed intelligence file. Though of course that's mainly up to you. I shook my head. Sorry, I'd rather not disclose my abilities for now. Shinzei smiled. I understand. Beast tamers have always been this way. It's just routine. For newcomers willing to trust us, we extend a direct invitation to join the 9 guards, receiving cultivation from both the Beast Taming University and the military. Won't you consider it? I shook my head again. In outsiders' eyes, Aaliyah was a vampire, a high sequence, not part of the Divine Era sequence. That secret was of the utmost importance. I would never reveal it. Shinzei looked slightly disappointed and leaned forward. I understand. Let's set that aside. As members of the Dragonhawk Guard, we're extending you an invitation. As you know, the Beast Taming University is essentially the reserves. You're obligated to fight, but you also have the right to choose your battlefield. We're all people of the Demon Capital, and the Dragonhawk Guard sorely needs talent like you. Feel free to name your terms. I fell into thought. According to Shengwan Ling, after the 9-School Alliance Exchange Tournament, the order of deployment to the abysses would be decided. At that point, every beast tamer would have to enter an abyss and fight. The responsibility that inevitably came with enjoying society's lavish treatment. As for choosing a battlefield, most people would pick the abyss that guarded their own home. I nodded. Major Qin, I'm willing to join the Dragonhawk Guard's combat roster, but I have 2 conditions. Qin Zhe's eyes brightened. Go on. First, compensation. Beast tamers are bottomless pits, and with no beast taming house behind me, resources are tight. I've still got the 9-School Alliance tournament ahead, and other branches of the 9 guards are bound to come courting me afterward. I want my treatment to be at least no lower than what the others offer. Qin Zhe's mouth twitched. Another one who never gets out of bed without profit. But he understood. What powerful beast tamer wasn't fed on a mountain of resources? Agreed. The second is simple. I want my family kept safe. Naturally, the moment you join the Dragonhawk Guard, your relatives will move into our dependents' compound, with dedicated personnel patrolling and standing guard. Good. Then I agree to join. Also, Major Qin, I'd like to draw in advance on some life essence. At the current rate, Aaliyah needed another 97 days to reach the metamorphosis tier, and I needed a large amount of life essence to improve my constitution and boost my vitality. Shinzei looked a bit troubled. Life essence. That stuff is rare. Even the Dragonhawk Guard doesn't have much in stock. Normally, a top 10 potential rankings beast tamer who joins the 9 guards gets allotted just 1 drop a month. Everything beyond that has to be traded for with war merits. I came right out with it. I want to draw at least 10 drops in advance, 40, if you can manage it. Shinzei blurted. What? I really wasn't shy. I went straight for the lion's share. 40 drops meant 4 billion. And although that price was inflated by the Subsidy Act, the actual value was sky-high too. But I wasn't about to let this deep-pocketed mark off the hook. Life essence couldn't be bought anywhere else right now, and the front lines held the most of it. Taking 10 drops, I'd need 100 days to get Aaliyah to advance. With another 40, in under 20 days, she could reach the metamorphosis tier before entering the abyss. Only strength was the bedrock for surviving the abyss war. Shinzei rubbed his temples and said cautiously, That's too much. I'll need to check with my superiors. He didn't dare slam the door shut. What if another branch of the 9 guards really would give it? I knew that to get the perks, you had to prove your worth. Major Qin, I really need it. Here's a deal. Barring surprises, tomorrow's qualifier will likely draw me against Li Mu, ranked 3rd on the potential rankings. If I win, how about you put in a request for 40 drops? With those 40 drops, I'm confident I can take the freshman crown of the 9-School Alliance tournament. Qin Zhe's pupils tightened. The 9-School Alliance champion. Now that was a different matter entirely. All right, I agree. He stood and held out his hand. I'll be looking forward to your performance. I gripped it firmly. After the Dragonhawk Guard people left, Shangwan Ling smiled. You really dare to talk big. Even with Aaliyah, this year's freshman class is no ordinary bunch. I shrugged helplessly. Teacher, with no beast taming house at my back, this is all the resources I've got. I've got to fight for them. Shangwan Ling nodded. That's exactly the second reason I called you here. The combat division is running this qualifier, and tomorrow's draw is actually already settled. Your opponent is Li Mu. What I want to tell you is intel on Li Mu and on the Li family behind him. I took the file. Shangwan Ling said, the Xia people's beast taming goes back a century, producing a number of powerful beast tamers who, on their own strength and knowledge, built sprawling families. Beast taming houses are graded by strength into first dash, second dash, and third rate, and the head of even a third-rate house needs some tier power. The three tiers of the mid-rank beast tamer are Nirvana, Will Turning, and Samsara, and only a family with a Samsara tier beast tamer qualifies to be called a house. Of these, 9 families rose above the rest, called the Pillar families, who together with the beast taming universities and the 9 guards form the main force against the Abyss. Uniting every power that can resist the Abyss is Great Xia's policy, and it's also what created the problem with certain families. The Li family is one of the 9 Pillar families, and Li Mu is the finest specially admitted S-rank student of this class, second only to Diling University's Kong Huan Yuan and Jianghe University's Shi Xiaolong. My guess is that to secure a win over you, his family will undoubtedly prepare him a second beast, along with an Abyss armament capable of countering Aaliyah. Most of this year's top 10 potential rankings are children of the Pillar families. Their gifts and strength may far outshine last year's class. Shangwan Ling glanced at Aaliyah. If there was anything that gave me an absolute edge over Li Mu, then besides that strange gift, it was only Aaliyah. Aaliyah idly played with my hand, not a trace of tension on her. I skimmed through the intel, and combining it with what Njishui had observed through Spirit Eye, I got a rough grasp of Li Mu's Boundary Sever Crossweave, a gift that was both control and attack, using the sheer sharpness of the threads themselves to strike and to restrict movement. Come to think of it, a melee-type gift like Mu Changwei's was a bad matchup for me, but put him up against Li Mu and it'd be far easier. One overwhelming force breaks 10 techniques. Threads can't stop simple, brute strength. To outsiders, Li Mu's matchup seemed to hard counter me. Shangwan Ling asked, so confident about handling him? I nodded. I'm more curious whether Major Qin can bring back my 40 drops of life essence. Shangwan Ling blinked, then couldn't help laughing. Recruiting me into the Beast Division might have been the best decision she'd made all year. All right, then I'll wait to see what you do. I left the administrative building and headed back to the arena, partly to check on my teammates' results for the day, and partly because my parents had brought my little sister to watch. I'd go pick them up afterward. On the way, seeing me quiet, Aaliyah asked, "What's the little one thinking about? Tomorrow's match?" I shook my head. The deeper I understood Aaliyah's abilities, the more I grasped just how powerful the Divine Era sequence was, and the more certain I became of one thing. "Aaliyah, the ones who attacked you back then wanted to take you alive, right?" She nodded. Why, you've got a lead. I had a faint guess, but I was still short on proof. Something the mentor said earlier sparked an idea. I've got some half-formed thoughts. They still need confirming. Aaliyah pressed her lips together. Had he been carrying this the whole time? Being attacked and nearly falling into death sleep was the start of her and me, and the cloud hanging over her heart. Now she didn't have to bear it all alone. Someone stood at her side, bound to her through life and death. As if a weight had lifted, she pecked my cheek lightly. Whatever this king can't puzzle out, I'll leave to you to think through. Ahem, ahem. A familiar cough came from nearby. I saw a figure standing ahead of us, back turned, and frowned once I recognized him. Didn't we agree? You lost, so you're banned from appearing in front of Aaliyah? That back belonged to none other than the sophomore Mu Changwei. He'd discovered something and come to pass on the word, only to happen upon that scene just now. It hurt so much he could barely breathe, though he couldn't let it show. Thick-skinned, he said coldly. I've got my back to you, haven't I? No face-to-face, so it doesn't count as breaking my word. Me? That works? Could you people have a little dignity? Mu Changwei, unable to keep his face, hurried to change the subject. I'm not here to mess around. I really do have something important. Take this. He tossed a small round token back over his shoulder. Even if the captain chose you, she was once our captain too. 3 days ago, after we fought, I went to a bar to drink myself numb. Someone took advantage of my being drunk and tried to buy intel about the captain off me. His accent was strange, so I fobbed him off with nonsense, then tried to tail him, but I lost him. So I went back into the abyss. One member of our squad has a gift that can recall the long-buried memories of an area. We found the place where the captain was ambushed. Every trace had been wiped clean. But in the memory playback, we saw someone drop a little something. Consider it a gift. Since the captain chose you, don't let her be attacked again. I looked at the round token, a clan crest, a design of a demon blade severing a bird's feather. The only ones who liked to wear clan crests were the people of the Hawaiian nation. As if a sliver of light had broken into a fog-shrouded conspiracy, some of my guesses were gradually being confirmed. I said, fine. I don't owe you a favor. Your beasts only obeyed me because my blood charmed and blocked their minds, so their brief pursuit instinct followed my command. They didn't betray you. You needn't take it to heart. Mu Chongwei let out a long breath, as if a knot in his heart had come loose. There's still the 9-school alliance tomorrow, don't you lose. The captain has never lost. And besides, I was not taking it to heart. He strode off, his steps noticeably lighter. Aaliyah's brow flicked up, her face full of distaste. Are all men this stubborn? I gave a soft laugh. He'd surely come specifically to beg for that answer. Between a beast tamer and a beast, trust mattered above all else. With a rift in his heart, how could he call himself a beast tamer? Aaliyah and I came to the lounge. By now, Lu Xian and the others had finished their respective fights. Brothers and sisters, how'd it go? Lu Xian smiled. The top 16 are set. Our squad got 4 in. You, me, Jiang Xinyue, and Chun Mingming. I turned around. Li Su, Wei Gang, how did you two fellow men drop the ball like this? The two were banged up and looked a little helpless. Lu Xian said, Captain, their opponents were strong, and both of them happened to be hard-countered on matchup. My face darkened. Wang Yu pulling strings again? The others all felt the same. Today's draw had been heavily rigged against us, most likely because the combat division's dean, Wang Yu, was the one running it. Tomorrow's draw for me is already out. It's Li Mu, the one who fought, and today. The other 6 tightened their eyes. The targeting had gotten downright blatant. Seeing the grim looks, I said quietly, it's fine. Let them come. Tomorrow I'll shatter every ounce of his confidence, and through him, make them too afraid to even look us in the eye during the team battle. We'll wipe out the combat division's pride once and for all. Mu Chongwei's visit had taught me one thing. My ability would create cracks of distrust between a beast and its tamer, a fatal blow to a beast tamer. Li Su clutched his wounded leg and stood. I believe in you, Captain, but could you heal my leg? I waved him off. Shoo shoo. My Aaliyah doesn't heal other men. Go find a healing division beast tamer yourself. Li Su looked miserable. What happened to teammate solidarity? I said gravely. Li, I've got to give you a little talking to. Whining over a scratch like this, you're a disgrace to us men. Look at Wei Gang, not making a peep. Li Su glanced at Wei Gang, and Wei Gang patted his shoulder. Li, that's because I never had any hope to begin with. Lu Xian and Ji Shui and the others couldn't hold back their laughter. The exchange lifted everyone's spirits quite a bit. The last match in the arena ended, and we moved into the draw. I watched the lounge screen. Even though I already knew my opponent, I figured I'd hear what the outside world had to say. The first 2 rounds of today's qualifiers are done. Tomorrow will determine the 8 students who'll represent Moling. Yuling University in the freshman bracket of the 9-school Alliance Exchange Tournament. Take a look at the draw. Tomorrow's first match is Suyu versus Li Mu. The venue erupted, comments scrolling nonstop. I figured Moling University would shuffle things around internally, and they went straight for a head-on clash. The fairest episode yet. 3rd on the potential rankings against 9th. Good thing I snagged tickets for tomorrow. Who's gonna win? Any experts want to break it down? The host in the broadcast room said, We're honored to have an expert from the Beast Tamers Association with us, Mr. Lu Yun, a Nirvana tier beast tamer. Mr. Lu Yun, how do you read this matchup? Lu Yun said with confidence. Many think this is a clash of dragons and tigers, but in my view, Li Mu will take Suyu down easily tomorrow. The comments flooded in. Bull. Like Suyu would have made the top 8, the top 16? Easily. Li Mu's 3rd on the potential rankings, sure, but Aaliyah was the strongest of last year. Lu Yun scanned the comments. Don't armchair tame. A beast tamer's duel comes down to tier, sequence, and matchup. Li Mu and Suyu are the same tier, both with high sequence beasts, so the deciding factor is matchup. Suyu's ability needs blood as a medium and a certain amount of room to maneuver, while Li Mu's ability happens to hard counter exactly that kind of zone control. On matchup, Li Mu's edge is too obvious. Plus, Li Mu comes from a noble house. No guarantee he doesn't have a second beast. However strong Aaliyah was, that was last year. Never mind that she's dropped a tier. The past is the past, and now is now. It was a fairly persuasive analysis. Famous as Aaliyah had been last year, she had very few recorded appearances. Intel on her was severely lacking, and most people's impression of her stopped at the looks of a prodigy campus belle. The odds are out. Li Mu's at just 1.4. Suyu shoots straight to 4.7. A duel between two potential rankings prodigies, plus an expert's commentary, set off a fresh wave of debate. In the broadcast room, the host said softly, "Lu, is Li Mu's edge really that big? I'm thinking maybe I should go put a little money down." Lu Yun said scornfully, "How are you armchair taming too? The way I see it, it's 50-50. I was deliberately steering the narrative to push the odds up. If you're betting, bet Suyu obviously. And remember to put some down for me. Our association checks strictly." The host's mouth fell open. A true expert. In a lounge on the other side, the healed Lei he curled up on a hospital bed, trembling. Li Mu and a few others came to his side. "Lei, I'll avenge you tomorrow." Lei's eyes were full of fear. Fear of Suyu, fear for the road ahead as a beast tamer. It was the thunderbird that had pierced his own body, and he no longer dared summon it. Even knowing it had been the effect of Suyu's ability, the thought of a partner he'd trusted unconditionally and fought side by side, with driving a blade into him, seemed to have wiped away that trust and sense of safety entirely. This invisible wound had all but destroyed everything that made a beast tamer. Leahy said shakily, "You have to win. Watch out for Aaliyah. She can control the blood inside a body, and the eerie puppet isn't enough to hold it off." Li Mu gripped his hand. "Trust me, brother. We'll win." To deal with this vampire, Li Mu would contract a second high-sequence beast that very night, and he'd also receive a special wraith weapon designed to counter vampires. He would defeat Suyu, to restore his best friend's spirit, and to fulfill his teacher's request, even though he didn't fully understand the grudge between Wang Yu and Suyu. A basement somewhere in the demon capital. Ishikawa Shuji said angrily, "Mr. Wang, can your people actually deliver what you promised or not? Aaliyah and Suyu are drawing more and more attention. What if they climb all the way to #1 on the potential rankings and get put under the protection of the 9 guards and the demon capital's governor? Right now I have serious doubts about your Wang family's sincerity." Wang Yu was at his wit's end. He deliberately suppressed Suyu precisely to weaken his influence and strength as much as possible before he descended into the abyss. Above ground in the demon capital, he and the Huaying people truly didn't dare lay hands on a great Xia beast tamer. He hadn't expected Leahy not only to fail to stop Suyu, but to get crushed. Wang Yu said solemnly, "Mr. Ishikawa, please trust our sincerity. Tomorrow I've arranged for Li Mu to fight. He'll absolutely block Suyu from entering the 9-school alliance tournament. And no matter who protects Suyu, he's bound to take part in the Abyss War regardless." Great Xia was different from other nations. Here, it was the bravest who went to the battlefield. Ishikawa's worried frown eased. "Fine. I'll trust you one more time. I hope our first collaboration can continue." Wang Yu smiled. "Then I'll watch and wait." The 7 of us finished watching the draw and left the lounge. Lu Xian went with the injured to find a healing division beast tamer, while I went to pick up the family who'd come to watch. After waiting the better part of an hour, my dad, my mom, and my little sister Su Wanrong finally squeezed out of the sea of people. Su Wanrong saw me and bounced straight into my arms. "Bro, you were amazing. That guy was no match for you at all." Off to the side, Aaliyah, wearing a baseball cap to avoid drawing attention, knit her delicate brows. Even knowing this was apparently my little sister, her nose somehow felt sour. Was this the jealousy the books talked about? Ever since I'd shown her the world's many flavors, she'd gradually developed a sense for taste. I pried Su Wanrong off. All right. You're 18. Why are you still acting like a kid?" My parents walked over smiling, their eyes holding both relief and worry. Beast tamers and ordinary people were already 2 different worlds. Their son's brilliance was a relief, of course, but for him to wield killing techniques so skillfully at such a young age meant the day he'd go to the battlefield wasn't far off. Su Wanrong pouted. "Bro, I'm not little. I want to be a beast tamer just like you." I said firmly, "Don't even think about it." "No way." "Why?" One professional beast tamer in this family is enough. If you like beasts, I'll buy you one later, but you are not becoming a beast tamer. There were only 2 children in our family. My nerve to step onto the battlefield came mostly from Aaliyah. Otherwise, I'd have to be ready to face death head-on. The divine era sequence was so rare that having even one was like manna falling from the sky. I was firmly against my sister becoming a beast tamer. My parents felt the same. One beast tamer in the family was already doing right by Great Xia. With just this one, my mom still had nightmares at night, terrified I'd really go to the front and never come back. Su Wanrong tugged at her twin ponytails, sulking. My mom smiled. Come now, Rong, your brother's thinking of you. With him around, the family's well off now. Even if next year's contract ceremony doesn't go smoothly, there's enough to buy you a gift serum and a beast. Your brother has another match tomorrow, so let's hurry home and not hold up his preparations. Su Wanrong nodded, a little worried. Bro, don't worry, I won't lose. I mean, don't get hurt. With that, she turned and left. My parents said a few parting words and followed. I watched their retreating figures, feeling a touch lost. Aaliyah pointed out, not letting her become a beast tamer isn't a good choice. Why? Once you enter the abyss, you'll understand. The number of entrances connecting the abyss to Blue Star grows by 1 every few years. What? She spoke with weight. This is a calamity you humans can't escape. So even if you want to protect them, don't choke on your food and swear off eating. I nodded. I'll think it over. Aaliyah wrapped her arms around my neck. Enough about that. The contest is tomorrow. First, top this king up. Do I really need to go all out against Amir Li Mu? Blood Queen and Death Cultists him didn't consume much blood, only undying, burned through a large amount, and required topping up beforehand. Who knows? What? You don't want to. I gritted my teeth and agreed to tonight's cultivation with her. Having taken life essence, my constitution had long since improved dramatically. Even after a full night of replenishing her blood, I was still brimming with energy by dawn. Aaliyah, today guns blazing. Don't hold back. Yesterday's words had kept me thinking for a long time. Concealing my gift would let me seize the initiative later, but the threat of the abyss still loomed. I needed more resources, and to get them I had to show my value. A light rain drifted over the arena today, but it couldn't stop the swelling crowds pouring in. Fights among the top 10 of the Great Xia potential rankings were rare. Some students even skipped morning classes to camp in front of the livestream. Quiet, it's starting. Word from the combat division grapevine. Li Mu contracted a second beast. No wonder. Put that way, Su Yu and Aaliyah are in danger. Look, the governor of the Great Xia demon capital came to watch too. He actually showed up? The demon capital's governor, who's also the Dragonhawk Guard's garrison commander and the guardian god of the Calamity Abyss, here in person. In the spectator seats, Ning Hanwen personally welcomed the distinguished guest. Governor Xia, is a student's contest really worth coming all this way for? Xia Tingyan smiled. I came specially to see the favored prodigy you hid away for a year, Headmaster Ning. Looks like something happened you didn't see coming. Man proposes, heaven disposes. Fortunately, this student isn't lacking in talent. Oh, then I'd best keep my eyes peeled. Who do you think will win, Headmaster Ning? Ning Hanwen's white beard stirred faintly, and he said nothing. Xia Tingyan laughed. Seems Headmaster Ning is rather confident. I've met this Li boy, a man of his generation, no easy mark to be pushed around. The Li Mu boy is malleable material too. Xia Tingyan shook his head. Ning Hanwen kept his mouth tight as a drum. Trying to guess what he was selling was a fool's errand. Earlier, when Shinzei had reported that Suyu had brazenly demanded an advance of 40 drops of life essence, he'd thought the kid didn't know the height of heaven or the depth of earth. But now it seemed it wasn't boasting after all. On him, it was worth a gamble. Because of yesterday's commotion, the referee was swapped out for Lin Tang, dean of the Fey Plant Division. Lin Tang amplified her voice with spiritual power. Moling Yuling University qualifiers, the deciding round for the slots. First match, Li Mu versus Su Yu. Amid the roar that filled the sky, Li Mu and I walked out from the 2 side tunnels. Goalie, don't disgrace our combat division. Senior Aaliyah, I'll support you forever. Neither of us seemed to hear. Our eyes were fixed only on the other across the field. Lin Tang stood between us and said in a low voice, I won't say much. If I judge that someone is on the verge of death, I'll step in. But that also means one side has to lose. Understood. We both nodded. Good. Show off your gifts to your heart's content, young ones. Humanity has to fight against the abyss, and you two even more so. Don't worry. As long as you haven't drawn your last breath, you can be saved. First match, begin. The clamor cut off all at once. Li Mu said coldly, "You crippled Leahy. He's actually afraid of his own beast now. Your ability is truly sinister. More than the wound of being run through by his beast, it was the loss of that innate trust that was the blade destroying a beast tamer." I said, "Right back at you. If you want to target me, come at me, but you dragged others into it. I don't see an ounce of honor in you, sir." Li Mu spread his hands. "Honor? That's just a loser's excuse. I'll take back everything my best friend lost." The wyvern wings behind me beat the air. "A shame you won't get your wish." The crisp sound of a single raindrop hitting the ground became the signal for both of us to attack. Roar, Crimson Flame Demon. Manifest, Shadow Dancing Netherraven. The Crimson Flame Demon's true form was a 6-meter-tall giant of crimson fire. Just as I'd guessed, Li Mu had contracted a second beast. Shadows surged like a tide, and from a black river rose a humanoid clutching a nether staff, hooded in dark purple, yet its face bore a raven-like beak. Xia Tingyan recognized it at once. The Li family really did spare no expense. From the Shadow Abyss in Milica, sequence number 16, the Shadow Nether race, hailed as assassins born of shadow. In a great war they slew tens of thousands of beast tamers and caused the collapse of the Shadow Abyss front, and the Li family actually captured one. Su Yu's in trouble now. The law of sequences was absolute. Number 16 was already exceedingly close to the Divine Era sequence, its power far surpassing an ordinary high sequence. The deep reserves of a pillar family were on full display. Li Mu showed no contempt whatsoever, activating Boundary Sever Crossweave the instant the fight began. Countless threads thin as cicada wings spread across the field, sharp and immensely tough, their only weakness a vulnerability to power-type beasts bullying through by brute force. Aaliyah snapped her fingers, and blood fell like a curtain of rain onto the threads. Those near-invisible threads turned in an instant into a crimson tide. Li Mu frowned. Boundary Sever Crossweave alone couldn't bring down Su Yu, but as long as he could restrict his room to move. Before the thought could land, Aaliyah clenched her right hand, and the blood clinging to the threads transformed into spirals. Rip, rip. The fine threads of Boundary Sever Crossweave were utterly powerless against the cutting force of blood. Li Mu's pupils contracted. What? Could a vampire really do this? The threads of Boundary Sever Crossweave were tough and immune to sharp weapons, yet they simply couldn't stand against Aaliyah's power over blood. I looked down from the air. All that big talk, and this is the extent of it. The corner of Li Mu's mouth twitched, but he didn't respond. I excelled at psychological warfare, and ignoring me was the best policy. Boundary Sever Crossweave could do more than attack. It could also channel mana. Beside Li Mu, the Crimson Flame Demon's chest glowed a dark red. Demon Flame, burn the heavens. Dark red magma, guided along the threads, turned into fire serpents that closed in on me from all sides along irregular curves. Li Mu said sharply, "Not done yet." Dark Tide. The shadow dancing Netherraven raised its staff high, and the ground became a dark purple nether river, surging up more than 10 pitch-black columns of water that took the shape of black knights. Guided by the threads, they coordinated with the demon flames to close the ring, aiming to swallow me in darkness. Aaliyah and I neither dodged nor had any intention of falling back. Li Mu was certain to be carrying a wraith weapon that could weaken Death Cultist's Hymn and Blood Queen, but that only worked on the techniques in their ordinary state. No need to hold back. Guns blazing, Aaliyah. Aaliyah pressed her palms together, the two powers beginning to stack, a low chant echoing through the arena. Awaken, heed the call of the true ancestors' hymn. Behind her, blood took the shape of a crimson zither and flute, forming, through Blood Queen, a complete symphony orchestra of blood, and through Undying, it granted the hymn. Before eternal, undying, the true hymn sounded, sacred yet representing dead silence, its notes halting everything before me in a single blast, blood pouring along the sound waves into all the demon flames and black knights. Those lifeless things became, in that moment, death cultists for Aaliyah to command. The sound waves condensed into substance, and under Li Mu's incredulous gaze, the black knights treaded the magma and charged at him. Even the Crimson Flame Demon and the shadow-dancing Netherraven fell into mental chaos. The moonbone necklace the Li family had given Li Mu couldn't dispel the influence of the Undying hymn. Up in the stands, Xia Tingyin drew a sharp breath. Eternity. It's actually. Headmaster Ning, you hid this far too well. Or rather, should I say Su Yu is too lucky? Ning Hanwen took a sip of tea, rather moved. Is the lucky one really Su Yu? What do you mean? The will of heaven must not be leaked. Xia Tingyin shot him a sidelong glance. Earlier, when Xinzhe reported that Su Yu wanted an advance of 40 drops of life essence, he'd thought the kid didn't grasp how vast the world was or how brutal the abyss. But now it didn't seem like boasting after all. Worth a gamble. The rest of the spectators were stunned blind. The intensity of this duel far exceeded every other contest. The vast arena could no longer contain the two of them, and had it not been for the barrier, it would surely have been destroyed long ago. The trouble now was Li Mu. Aaliyah's abilities had exceeded everyone's highest expectations. This was the true strength of last year's Prodigy Campus Bell. Li Mu drew a deep breath and made his decision, driving threads into the shadow-dancing Netherraven, using external force to spur the beast. Nether Shadow Frenzy Dance. He'd already considered that his beast might be controlled by Su Yu, which was exactly why he'd contracted the shadow-dancing Netherraven. Not only because it was strong, but because its racial gift let it enter a berserk state of lost reason. If even its own master couldn't control it, then neither could you. Before it lost its mind, Li Mu issued one final command. Destroy them, Netherraven. The Shadow Nether race, so close to the Divine Era sequence, broke free of the Undying Him, at the cost of its reason, becoming a machine that knew only slaughter. The Netherraven raised nether water that washed away the flames bearing down on Li Mu, and dissolved the Black Knights of its own accord. Berserk now, it no longer wielded vast mana. In its place came formidable physical destructive power. A glimmer of light flashed through Aaliyah's jewel-like eyes. Oh, it can shake off the influence of Undying? Not bad. A shame you're just a hair short. Otherwise I'd catch it and make it a beast for the little one. The dark tide on the ground was suddenly pierced by surging blood. In the blink of an eye, the Black River was replaced by a river of blood. Having topped up her blood last night, Aaliyah was, in every sense, at her peak. The raging blood at her side formed countless swords and shields and fully armored blood cavalry. And as her wings beat, the Blood Knights charged alongside their king. Bang! The Netherraven was run through by countless blood blades, yet its powerful vitality after going berserk could still hold off Aaliyah's barrage for a moment. And just then, Li Mu seized a once-in-a-lifetime opening. The Crimson Flame Demon, frozen by the him, couldn't move, but his boundary sever crossweave could control it. Threads pierced the Crimson Flame Demon and made it leap, striking straight at me in the gap, while Aaliyah had no time to spare for me, the threads spreading again to seal off all my escape routes. I beat my wings, and under the interference of the shrieking tornado, the Crimson Flame Demon missed, but a thread just barely grazed my arm, slicing open a long gash. Blood dripped. Li Mu had finally found an opening. A gasp rose through the stands. Isn't Aaliyah number 99? She's actually beating down a number 16. Mutation. It has to be a mutation. Li Mu found his chance. Su Yu's in trouble. Li Mu's desperate counterattack seemed to give people hope, and I had indeed taken a wound. Aaliyah didn't seem able to deal with the shadow-dancing Netherraven anytime soon. Everything was tilting in Li Mu's favor. In that moment, he didn't dare let his guard down for an instant. Aaliyah's power exceeded his highest expectations. Even the berserk shadow-dancing Netherraven was a candle in the wind before her, fit only to be a punching bag. He had to crush me within the time the Netherraven could still keep up its frenzy dance. Crimson Flame. The Crimson Flame Demon shrank into humanoid form and, under the thread's control, spat wave after wave of magma. But then, a wall of blood shot up from the ground, and Aaliyah suddenly arrived right in front of the Crimson Flame Demon. Li Mu was shocked. Wasn't she pinned down by the shadow-dancing Netherraven? A sweep of his eyes revealed the truth. The blood that had dripped when he gashed my arm a moment ago had tempted the shadow-dancing Netherraven in its frenzied state. Having lost its reason, it chased only Li Mu's final command and its own instinct, and at the most critical moment it abandoned the Aaliyah before it, lunging instead at my blood, brimming with fatal temptation. Switch. In that split-second gap, Aaliyah caught the Crimson Flame Demon at close range, and Blood Queen took complete control of it. Meanwhile, I chased the Twilight Arrow I'd loosed and charged at Li Mu. Li Mu had long since prepared a wraith weapon to counter the Twilight Longbow and didn't fall into disarray. But the Crimson Flame Demon being seized, and the shadow-dancing Netheravin abruptly turning to chase my blood had thrown him for a moment. Where he'd first thought disaster had struck, the instant I came charging in so recklessly, hope of victory reignited in him. You actually dare charge straight at me. A death wish. Boundary sever crossweave can't cut Aaliyah, but it can't cut you? Countless threads spread, completely wrapping me the moment I broke through to right in front of him. Squelch. Victory was within reach. But then an even stranger scene unfolded. Dazzling crimson points of light flared across my body. Boundary sever crossweave should have cut me apart. Yet under those points of light, I punched through the threads like an arrow that pierces all. Body as arrow. Aaliyah's undying clung to my body, becoming an unsolvable force. Never mind that you can't cut me. Even if you somehow did, undying would swiftly knit me back together, and the blood that spilled would become the trigger for crown of blood and fatal temptation. As Li Mu stared dumbstruck, Aaliyah condensed the blood from my arm into a tiny blood needle and drove it into his body. In an instant, Li Mu's mind seemed gripped by a force. A blood-red crown reverberated through his sea of consciousness, that mighty kingly aura overawing his spirit. The dazed Li Mu gazed blankly at me. I issued the king's command. It's over, fulfill my promise. The pre-match promise, to gouge out your kneecaps. Li Mu pressed his right hand to his heart, his face devout. Yes, all glory to my king. Beside us, Lin Tang only now realized something was wrong and tried to stop it, but it was too late. Li Mu used his own boundary sever crossweave to slice off his own knees. Bang! Blood mist burst, and Li Mu, his kneecaps gone, buckled and dropped to the ground, trembling all over. The crimson flame demon and the shadow-dancing Netheravin gradually vanished, returning to the beast space. The fight came to an abrupt halt in a scene no one could have predicted. The whole arena fell dead silent. Few people had understood what happened at the end. In that flash of lightning, I'd looked precarious, about to be struck at any moment by the crimson flame demon's magma. Yet the situation had reversed earth-shatteringly within 3 seconds. The shadow-dancing Netheravin suddenly stopped tangling with Aaliyah. Boundary sever crossweave dealt me no harm whatsoever, and Li Mu abruptly gave up resisting and cut off his own knees. Lin Tang rushed to Li Mu and anxiously summoned a crystalline fey plant, dripping, dew brimming with life force. I said quietly, I held back. His life isn't in danger. To this world, a severed arm or leg was a minor wound indeed. Lin Tang let out a long breath. Li Mu was fine, healed in half a month. But being wounded by his own ability was a feeling that was probably no easier to bear than Lei He's. A terrifying gift. Lin Tang declared loudly. Li Mu is confirmed defeated. The first qualifier to advance is Su Yu. The whole arena boiled over, though some hung their heads in dejection. He won? How exactly did he win? I didn't follow any of that at the end. As long as there's blood, it's within his grasp, like a sovereign who commands blood itself. Li Mu actually lost. I bet 10 on him. And it's all that wretched expert swearing up and down. Lost everything. Su Yu and Aaliyah were sandbagging the whole time. The potential rankings updated. Su Yu replaced Li Mu. He's third now. Not first. There's someone even stronger. The top 2 are monsters too. Hard to say. Wang Yu's face went livid one moment, purple the next. Li Mu had actually lost. What in the world was with this vampire? This was going to thoroughly enrage that pack of Huang people. With even Xia Tingyan here to watch, the difficulty of moving against Su Yu was probably even greater now. In the end, he'd have to find a way through his family. In the spectator seats, Xia Tingyan stood. Headmaster Ning, a very interesting match. Looks like it's my turn to make good on my promise. What promise? Su Yu said before the match that if he could win, he'd draw an advance of 40 drops of life essence, and that he was confident he could take the tournament crown. And it turned out like this. It's actually a divine era. Going back on it, Xia Tingyan laughed. Not at all. This year's divine era isn't the only one. I'm starting to look forward to his duel with Kong Huanyuan. Ning Hanwen looked thoughtful. That little half-spirit witch-blooded girl from Dilling. If that's the case, this time it'll be old Zhang's turn to swallow a quiet loss. Imperial capital Yuling University, conference room. Headmaster Jiang Huiran and the mentors had watched the whole match. Starmark mentor Wang Jing said, he did have something in reserve after all. I never expected him to actually beat Li Mu. Then doesn't that mean this year is? A few of the mentors caught one another's meaning, their eyes turning in unison toward a young woman in the corner. If anyone among Imperial Capital Yuling University's freshmen could defeat Su Yu, it was only this half-human, half-demon campus belle who carried the blood of the spirit witch. In the eternal calamity abyss beneath the Imperial Capital, the sequence number 100 spirit void race birthed. Once a century, a divine era sequence number 009 spirit witch, whose witch's night was counted among the 10 great natural disasters of the abyss. In the corner, she watched the screen with her chin propped on her arm, long curls somewhere between platinum and silver spilling down her back, her face like carved white jade, her water-blue eyes like the surface of a still lake. Kong Huan Yuan said softly, "I can win." I went back to the lounge, and Lu Xian and the others rushed up around me, fired up. "Too strong, Captain. The combat division's done for now. With an injury like Li Mu's, he probably can't even make it into the team battle. 2 of the combat division's 3 S ranks knocked out. This year's team event is our squads without a doubt. I thought there'd still be a brutal team battle to fight, but I'd settled it single-handedly." And Ji Shui had tears in her eyes. "So you thank you." I waved it off. "You got dragged into this because of me. I only did what I had to." She still felt a bit guilty. I defended the combat division to the bone just to get even for her. I stretched lazily. "That match really wore me out, so I'll skip watching yours. Lu Xian, Chen Mingming, Jiang Xinyue, you 3 give it your all." The 3 girls nodded, their eyes drifting to the backs of Aaliyah and me as we left. That fight had drained me badly. My face was pale, and Aaliyah's frame seemed to have shrunk a few sizes too, leaving her just over 5 feet. Maybe that was the price of overusing blood. Aaliyah draped herself over my back. Right now, all she wanted was to take a sip from me. In the fight just now, when my blood dripped before her and the shadow-dancing Netheravon, that blood brimming with fatal temptation had nearly slipped her control. Had she not tasted it many times already, she might have fought the Netheravon for it on the spot. My wound had been healed good as new by undying. I reached back and stroked her chin. "Meeting you is my good fortune." "Same for me, Master." The moment we stepped out of the lounge, we ran into Major Qin Zhe of the Dragonhawk Guard, who'd been waiting a while. Carrying a black case, he said with feeling, "Congratulations, Su Yu. Honestly, at first I had my doubts about whether you could beat Li Mu, but you really pulled it off. As agreed, all 40 drops of life essence are yours, advanced ahead of schedule." He leaned in and murmured, "This was an order the commander gave directly, on site, today." I glanced back toward the spectator seats, thinking, today Aaliyah and I had barely hidden anything, and that power-holding figure, one with the chance to touch the holy domain, had probably already seen it. Ordinary people had never seen the divine era sequence, so it was no surprise they couldn't recognize Aaliyah. But Xia Tingyin, that was surely the reason he'd so readily approved 40 drops. Within the sequences, perhaps, hid a secret even he didn't know. I took it without ceremony. "Thanks. I'll do my best to win this year's 9-school alliance crown." Qinze took the hint. "Then I won't keep you. I'll be waiting for the tournament in 10 days. After parting with Qinze, I let my family know I was safe, then headed back to the dorm with Aaliyah. Back at the dorm, I opened the case. In 4 mutton-fat jade vials, dazzling starlight shimmered. Life essence, a strategic resource that sold for 100 million per drop on the market, every drop able to remake a beast tamer's frail body. Humans ranked at sequence number 999. Beyond being born without mana circuits, our physical strength was far below that of the abyss's myriad races. After taking 10 drops earlier, my skin had already taken on a sheen, a mark of surpassing ordinary people. I didn't hesitate. I downed the mutton-fat jade vials in one go. For billion in my belly, even a bad taste was a good one. The effect of these 40 drops far exceeded last time. The life essence, brilliant as the stars, improved every inch of my skin, flesh, and bone. My skin sloughed off like scales and grew anew, soaked through with luster and resilience, no longer fragile like an ordinary person's. This was a qualitative transformation. Beside me, the light in Aaliyah's eyes grew brighter still. Hungry, she pressed against my back and gave a soft sniff. "Even more fragrant, Master." I smiled. "Drink up. You worked hard today." Her bright teeth bit down gently. With 50 drops of life essence taken in total, it was enough for her to drink 150 liters a day without harming my health. I felt like I'd become a living, breathing super blood bag. Good thing life essence was effective enough to defy the heavens. My vitality had already surpassed the human limit dozens of times over, or I truly couldn't have withstood it. Ding. The Vampire Queen has drunk your blood. Rank progress, plus 150. Rank, second stage transcendent tier, 300 to 3000. In the fight against Li Mu, lacking a beast had been a huge disadvantage. Finding a second beast couldn't wait, but Aaliyah and I still felt it was better to have none than to settle. Unless it was a divine era sequence, or a being close to it like the shadow dancing Netheraven, it would just be a waste of precious spiritual power. Once I'd recovered a little, Shang Wanling called and had me come to her office. Seeing Aaliyah and me, her smile spread. Congratulations on taking down Li Mu. You've officially advanced to the main bracket of the 9-School Alliance tournament. You look great. Seems the Dragonhawk Guard made good on its promise. I feel great, like you've transformed, right? I nodded hard. Right. Like my whole self has transformed. Shangwan Ling explained with a smile. This was meant to be covered later. After all, you freshmen can hardly get life essence before descending into the abyss. But since you've transformed ahead of the others, I'll explain it to you now. First, another matter. She handed me a file. For advancing to the main bracket, regulations award you 50 credits. These are the main opponents you might face there. Whether our school gets a priority deployment slot this year really does come down to your freshman bracket. The other 3 grades haven't fluctuated much from last year, so the focus of contention is you newcomers. I flipped through the file, and the first page caught my eye with a photo, platinum curls, water blue eyes, the kind that draw you in at a glance. If Aaliyah was an alluring abyss, this was the frozen lake of a snow country. Shangwan Ling smiled. Su Yu, she'll be your strongest opponent in the tournament. Name, Kong Huanyuan. Age, 19. Background. Her father is human, her mother a spirit which born once a century in the eternal calamity abyss. She carries half the blood of a divine era sequence, with powerful spiritual force, perfect compatibility with all abyss armaments and treasures, and the ability to become a beast tamer like a human. Tier, second stage transcendent tier gift, unknown beast. Number 36, Snowheart Rose, a fey plant with endless proliferation and ice-shaping abilities. I was a little startled. Besides Aaliyah, this was the first descendant of a divine era sequence I'd seen in a public file. She had divine era combat power herself and could contract beasts like a beast tamer. No wonder she topped this generation's potential rankings. Aaliyah glanced over with interest, and then the two of us looked at each other and smiled, as if struck by the same possibility. Shangwan Ling looked at us oddly. What is it? Something wrong? I quickly shook my head and changed the subject. No, this file is too vague. Are there no detailed combat records? None. Imperial capital Yuling University guards her extremely well. All we know is that in one day she fought 14 straight matches against the other 14 S-rank freshmen of Dilling. Undefeated. They call her the Undefeated Witch. It sounded impressive. It wasn't hard to tell Kong Huanyuan's strength was probably well above Li Mu's. Taking her down wouldn't be easy. Shangwan Ling continued. As for second on the potential rankings, Shi Xiaolong of Jianghe University. Your odds against him are about 50-50. There's combat footage of him out there. Take this disc and study it. I took it. Done with opponents, Shangwan Ling said. There are about 10 days until the tournament, and you've just come into contact with life essence. So let me tell you about the power of this physical transformation. She rolled up her sleeve, and a star-like coloring gradually lit across her pure white arm. As a beast tamer, after the transcendent tier comes the metamorphosis tier, then the nirvana tier. What is metamorphosis? We humans have no mana circuits, and we can't draw on the abyss's mana to strengthen our bodies. In terms of raw gift, we're perhaps the weakest race in the abyss sequences, but our forebears carved out this path of the beast tamer, letting a beast's breakthrough drive our own. Metamorphosis and nirvana are the tiers where we reforge our bodies and mana circuits. The body has 3 stages: gold, silver, jade, shown on the skin. Look, is there a silver glow on your arm? I lowered my head and looked. There were indeed faint silver threads flowing through the luster. By amplifying the body through abyss treasures, once you reach the mithril stage, you meet the minimum condition to advance to nirvana. After breaking through, you'll gain mana circuits and reawaken your innate gift. Treasures are graded the same as armaments. The life essence you drank is a dragon-grade treasure. 50 drops is barely more than a mouthful, yet it's enough to advance a human body to the mithril stage, which is why it's so precious. This stage is crucial. If you can reach the white jade stage and body before entering nirvana, you'll be like me, your body blessed by the power of the stars, laying the foundation for the path of the demigod. It clicked. No wonder, in the fight against Mu Changwei, he'd been able to tank a beast's attacks on his gift alone. It wasn't just a power-type gift, but the transformation of his body too. I understand, teacher. Your progress is far faster than others, so prepare early for metamorphosis and nirvana. Spend these 10-odd days getting familiar with the physical power of the mithril stage. It might just become your secret to victory. I nodded. Got it. Back at the dorm villa, Aaliyah leaned in by my ear. Little one, looks like the second beast is settled. Confess, did you fall for her because she's pretty? My cheeks went red. Ahem. Aaliyah, I purely think she's a good fit. A divine era sequence is something you can come across but can't seek out. Didn't you say anything can happen in the abyss? That divine era descendant you mentioned was only one possibility. We mulled it over for a while. A divine era sequence was both powerful and rare. What beast tamer wouldn't want to recruit one? It was just that Dilling surely guarded her tightly, leaving few chances. The only chance was, Aaliyah and I said in unison, the tournament. Aaliyah curved her lips and whispered her plan into my ear. My heart suddenly raced. It really could work. Only, this would offend Dilling to the bone. Oh well, no point fretting once you're deep in debt. With Aaliyah around, I'd long since fallen out of favor with the moling upperclassmen. What was one more, Dilling on top? Let's do it. Over the following days, I devoted myself to adapting to my transformed body's power. In the team event, the combat division's Lei He and Li Mu were both gravely injured, and they simply forfeited against our beast division. We fought another round against the Fey plant division, and with nothing left to block Aaliyah's death cultists him, it was a near-total rout. Our squad smoothly became Moling University's representatives for the Nine-School Alliance exchange battle. 10 days later, the Nine-School Alliance tournament was held in the imperial capital. Shangguan Ling and Vice Headmaster Gu Yi personally led the team, and we set out on the journey to the imperial capital. On the dedicated train, I gazed out the window with interest. Since the abyss appeared over a century ago, the world's development had become a far cry from what it once was. Besides rice and wheat, the fields grew a Fey plant, pearl rice. Though it hadn't crossed the threshold into the sequences, a single plant bore over 10 caddies of grain, didn't deplete the soil much, and fed specifically on the manna in the air. Planting a few hundred per mu easily yielded several thousand caddies per mu. The abyss brought more than just war. Otherwise, Great Xia truly couldn't bear such steep expenditures. The mood on the train was a little tense. The freshmen were fine. Besides our squad, there were a few S-rank students from other divisions, and we got along well. But the sophomore and junior upperclassmen eyed me like tigers eyeing prey. No other reason than that Aaliyah lay across my lap eating grapes, occasionally feeding me one, which was heartbreaking to them. Mu Changwei traded a glance with me, then looked away. The Blood Spirit squad beside him was the main force of the sophomore bracket, all of them back from the abyss too. Wei, you actually fought him? Mu Changwei sighed helplessly. And I lost. What? The other 6 turned around. Mu Changwei might be the Blood Spirit squad's number 7, but surely he wouldn't lose to a freshman, even if the captain was now his man. Mu Changwei shot them a glance. If you want to fight the captain, go yourselves. Don't drag me into it. Number 5, Wu Xinghao, seemed to remember something terrifying. No. If even you lost, that means the captain's tier hasn't dropped much. I'll pass on getting tortured. The others agreed wholeheartedly. When they first heard Aaliyah had dropped a tier, they'd finally started to shake off the great terror of a year spent getting tortured by her, and dare to admire her again. But the way Mu Changwei had zero fighting spirit, no matter how you looked at it, suggested Aaliyah could still toy with them. In the end, they could only grind their teeth and shoot me sour, jealous glares. I found it a little funny inside. Was this sour or scared? Whatever. Aaliyah. She leaned in. I said quietly. I had a friend look into this thing a few days ago, and he just got back to me. In my hand was the small round token Mu Changwei had given me. Aaliyah's expression turned grave. It meant there was now a thread on whoever had ambushed her. The round token was the clan crest of the Huaying Nation's Ishikawa family. I'd asked a friend who studied at customs to pull strings and check Great Xia's customs records. I wouldn't have known if I hadn't looked. Within the past month, a large number of Ishikawas had entered Great Xia. Aaliyah's ambush was very likely connected to them. This matter had always struck her as strange. The place she was ambushed wasn't far from Redstone City, by rights a relatively safe area. Yet that day she'd been swarmed by over 100 beast tamers, all 4 of her blood attendants killed, a battle that shook heaven and earth, while the Dragonhawk Guard of Redstone City made not a single move, as if they hadn't noticed. Gravely wounded, she'd fled toward the passage between the abyss and the demon capital, only to find an ambush waiting there too, finally escaping at the near cost of falling into death sleep. And then she met me. Part of my reason for joining the Dragonhawk Guard was the wish to investigate the truth of that day. What do you think? Aaliyah knit her delicate brows. I said in a low voice, I have a hypothesis. Suppose they were trying to kill you. Then there'd be no need to act near Redstone City. Deep in the abyss would be far better, wouldn't it? 10 days ago it suddenly came to me. Just as I want a divine era, so do others. So they acted near Redstone City precisely to take you alive, so they could capture you and quickly slip out of Great Xia. Aaliyah nodded. If the perpetrators were Huaying people, there were 2 routes back to Huaying. One was through the Calamity Abyss back to Great Xia, then on to Huaying. The other was crossing the dangerous Forbidden Zones. All abysses are connected. Intel humanity paid a tremendous price to learn, but the abysses link to extremely dangerous Forbidden Zones, and beyond the myth tier, there is no return. My hypothesis made the most sense. I went on. If the hypothesis holds, we can be sure they have inside help, a lot of it. The Dragonhawk Guard mole may not be guard personnel, but must be able to exert influence. Otherwise, no one could pull off an ambush against their own people right under the guard's nose, soundlessly, even swapping out the guards stationed at the Abyss Passage. That shows considerable standing. There's also a mole familiar with the school. Otherwise, no one could dig up your intel or judge you to be Divine Era. But that mole probably doesn't know your Divine Era. Otherwise, they'd rather keep you for themselves. The Huaying people grasped other intel from elsewhere, and cross-referencing the two, they figured it out. Now think about Mu Chongwei's words. Your Blood Spirit squad has a mole too, or they couldn't have pinned down your whereabouts. Aaliyah's gaze snapped to the Blood Spirit squad, a haze settling over her deep purple eyes. Within this squad, one she had no real affection for but was relatively familiar with, hid a viper that wanted to harm the farmer who'd warmed it. I was rather startled too. To go to such lengths for a single Divine Era sequence. What kind of secret lay hidden within the sequences? Aaliyah made to rise, and I held her back. Little one, let go. Mei, Lan, Zhu, and Ju died in the abyss to protect me. This king promised them revenge. I shook my head. Don't tip off the snake. Aaliyah, you are my everything. Your grudge is my grudge. But I'm not telling you all this so you'll lash out now. We need to pull them out root and stem. Or what if someone gets away? Aaliyah calmed down. How do we do it? Tell the old man Ning. We could, but it's not the right time yet. The 3 categories of people I'd pinpointed all had tricky identities. You'd tell the headmaster there were traitors among his students and teachers, then tell the Great Xia governor there was a problem among the warriors defending the nation. Besides, my range of inference was too broad. And with the beast taming houses involved, the Dragonhawk Guard might not be core people. It could be a house exerting influence over its own children stationed in the guard. Then what do we do? I smiled. Probe. Start with the smallest target. The Blood Spirit squad would return to the abyss right after the tournament. There'd be no better chance than now. Just don't give it away, Aaliyah. Aaliyah took the hint and pressed her lips shut, signaling she'd just keep quiet. This kind of brain-taxing business was too much for a vampire. Satisfied, I rubbed the top of her head. This matter would need one more person's help. And Ji Shui, chatting with the girls, came over when she heard. What's up, Captain? I said in a low voice. I need a favor. Her A-rank gift, Spirit Eye, could observe fluctuations in mana and emotion. There was no one better suited for probing. Sure, just say the word, Captain. She was grateful I'd gotten even for her earlier, so she'd refuse me nothing, and in private discussions with the girls she rather liked me. I asked quietly, if I wanted to know whether someone's telling the truth or lying. Could your Spirit Eye help me tell? If it involves their privacy, you don't have to tell me. And Ji Shui smiled faintly. My gift isn't like yours, Captain. It's the kind I can talk about. Telling truth from lies is doable, but not absolute. Someone good at masking can even deceive themselves. But Captain, before judging truth or lies, my Spirit Eye can first read a person's composition. Oh, how so? And Ji Shui said in earnest. A gift is a reflection of us humans' hearts. Whatever gift you awaken represents what kind of person you are. People with power-type gifts are simple and pure. People with mind control gifts like yours, Captain, have very heavy thoughts. I didn't mean it like that. I blinked, then said, it's fine. Go on. She looked a little embarrassed. Anyway, you can glimpse a person's character through their gift, and if their emotional and mana fluctuations are strong enough, you can even glimpse the soul. A rather formidable observation-type gift. I hadn't considered this before. The gifts humans awaken are reflections of the heart? If so, then Mu Changwei's pure power-type gift meant he was fairly broad-stroked. The guy was thick-skinned, blunt, and hid nothing. It fit, and adding that he'd volunteered the matter of the crest, he probably wasn't the traitor. Good, I understand. Aaliyah, help and confirm each of their gifts. I'll go probe. I'm counting on you. I stood and walked toward the Blood Spirit squad in the sophomore section. Apart from Mu Changwei, the other 6 were taken aback. Oh ho, we didn't come looking for you, and you came looking for us? I wasn't intimidated in the least. I sat down directly across from the 7 of them. Let's get acquainted. My name's Su Yu. In the center of the 7, a 2-meter giant offered his hand of his own accord. Current captain of the Blood Spirit squad, Du Ming. 2 knife scars marked his broad face, quite fierce. I reached out. A powerful crushing force came at once, as if it could pulverize an ordinary person's palm in an instant. Silver light flowed across my hand, holding against the grip. Du Ming gave me a startled look. Mithril stage. What? Mithril? The others were equally astonished. This newcomer who'd just set foot on the Beast Tamer's path. They'd been counting on the boss to give him a show of force, and instead, Du Ming let go and sighed. No wonder the captain would. You and number 7, Mu Changwei, have met. Number 2, Niel Yang. Number 3, Su Ping. Number 4, Ho Sheng. Number 5, Wu Xinghao. Number 6, Lu Jing. I nodded to each. Du Ming said, I'll be blunt. Number 7 approving of you doesn't mean we do. You've got some skill, but whether you can survive in the abyss is another matter. A beast tamer's world was a world of war. It had no welcome for the weak, especially a weakling who'd taken away the one they worshipped as a goddess. My expression didn't change. Sorry to say, I don't need your approval. Having Aaliyah's is enough. As if I'd stepped on their tails, the 6 looked displeased. When the 6 clearly had emotional fluctuations, off to the side in Jishui activated Spirit Eye, a hazy mist in her eyes shimmering with strange colors. 3 power types, 2 control types, 1 mind type, 1 special type. Aaliyah nodded, about the same as in her memory. Wait, that person has 2 colors. Does he have 2 gifts? Aaliyah followed her gaze. Number 5, Wu Xinghao. Her willowy brows knit slightly. In my memory, he's a beast tamer with fey plant and spirit body beasts. His gift is called something like Cliff Lock. And Jishui shook her head. Besides the color unique to control types, it leans toward mind type as well. By in Jishui's account, a gift was a reflection of the heart. Control types tended to be greedier and more domineering. Mind types had heavy thoughts. This gift was unknown even to Aaliyah. What did that mean? Something fishy. I made small talk with him. When the conversation turned to the round token, Du Ming and the others wore equally heavy expressions. However they regarded me, the matter of Aaliyah's ambush was itself deeply strange. On this point, I'll provisionally assume our goals align. Du Ming nodded. We don't want to see the captain ambushed either. What's your thinking? My eyes turned sly. I suspect there's a mole. As I said this, I swept quickly over the 7. Some confused, some bewildered, some shocked, some thoughtful. I both struck the mountain to startle the tiger and avoided pointing out that it was a blood spirit squad member, leaving room to smooth it over later. Du Ming frowned. What do you mean? I left out the part suspecting the blood spirit squad and laid out the rest. He drew a deep breath. You make a good point. The Dragonhawk Guard is a mixed bag, with all sorts of factions threaded through it. We'll find a way to investigate. Also, he circled back. If you lose the tournament, I advise you to honestly leave the captain. Nothing personal. I just don't want to watch the captain go die in the abyss carrying dead weight. I stood. No need for you to trouble yourselves over that. Back at my seat, I asked, how'd it go? And she whispered, Wu Xinghao, his color fluctuations are off. On the surface, he's a control type, but in essence, he's hiding a mind type gift. Also, I don't know what you all talked about just now, but one other person's emotional shifts were different from the rest. I recalled the glances I'd swept over. Was it Su Ping? Number 3's gaze had been a little shifty, clearly thinking about something else. Yes. Captain, do you have observation abilities too? No. I just noticed his eyes were off. Oh, and it was only for an instant. He recovered fast. I nodded. Those two were fishy. Narrowing the target from 7 to 2 was good news. Much better than fishing for needles in the two vast oceans of the Dragonhawk Guard and Moling. Thanks. Don't tell anyone about this. As long as I can help you, Captain. She returned to the girls. Lu Xian curiously asked what she and I had talked about, and Njishui smiled and brushed it off vaguely. Lu Xian seemed to mind a little but didn't press, her eyes rolling as if calculating something. Aaliyah lay across my lap. Grab the two of them and interrogate them. I laughed. Don't rush. Let them move first. Maybe we can follow the vine to pull out the whole melon. How? After the tournament, I'll find a chance to compare notes with the dean and the headmaster. Also, I glanced at Lu Xian. She met my gaze and couldn't quite look away. There was a young miss of a beast taming house here too. After my last talk with Shang Wanling, I'd sounded things out indirectly. The Lu family, likely Muesli family, was one of the 9 pillar families. Considering Lu Xian's overtures toward me, maybe I could borrow her strength. Of course, the premise was that I had enough value. This 9-school alliance tournament, I had to win. Otherwise, the next time Aaliyah and I entered the abyss, the hidden hand behind it all would most likely not let the chance slip. For others, it was just a competition, an order of priority for suppressing the abyss. For me, it was a matter of life and death. Aaliyah closed her eyes. Then it's all on you, little one. After all, you are my knight. The train soon reached the imperial capital, and the Moling party transferred to a chartered car bound for Dilling University. Dilling sat at the entrance of the Eternal Calamity Abyss, Great Xia's most brutal battlefield, and the only one of the 9 abysses that was a primary offensive direction. Unlike the Calamity Abyss with only one front line at Redstone City, 3 mutually supporting cities were built inside the Eternal Calamity Abyss to oppose the myriad race's 7 cities. In recent years, Dilling had often dominated the 9-school alliance for first place. Stepping out of the car, Dilling came into view. Unlike Moling's modernity, it was a quaint, grand palace design. Its only tall structure was a clock tower facing all 4 directions. The tower's bell didn't mark the time but signaled an abyss assault. Once it rang, the entire imperial capital would take up arms as one. As we entered the school, I faintly felt a pair of eyes on me. Aaliyah handed me a pair of binoculars. Look at the tower. I looked. A girl with platinum curls, in a pale blue skirt, sat barefoot on the tower's edge, pure and untouched by dust, her gaze calm as a lake's surface directed at me. Kong Huanyuan sat on the tower taking in the wind with interest, watching the approaching Moling team, that newly risen star. Her lips curved. So you're a descendant of the Divine Era too? Between descendants of the Divine Era sequence, there existed a subtle resonance. It was on this basis that Aaliyah was certain there were other Divine Era descendants in the abyss. From 2 different places, the 2 women said in unison. The prey has come. After settling in, Shang Wanling gathered the freshman students for a meeting. The tournament schedule is tight, so I'll keep it short. The main bracket starts tomorrow, beginning with the individual matches, again broadcast to the whole public. The first is a gauntlet. The rules are announced only that day, but of the 9 schools' 72 students, only 8 will make it into the knockout rounds. Your opponents are most likely the ones near the top of the potential rankings. You've read their files many times, so come to me anytime you have questions. The team event follows the individual matches, with specific rules decided by draw. The sophomore, junior, and senior brackets aren't much different from past years. It's your freshman bracket that draws the most attention. For the school, and for our demon capital, I'm counting on you all. The Abyss War was about to begin, and the tournament's results would be an important reference for the order in which the 9 beast taming universities deployed their forces. Everyone wanted to protect their own interests and families first. There was no right or wrong in it. In the end, there was only one way: a fight. This was no world for the humble. The strong must contend, and those who contend must win. Zhanghe University also arrived at Dilling, led by several Starmark mentors. In their lodgings, Mentor Linley asked, Xiaolong, how's it looking? The one asked was sure Xiaolong, second on the potential rankings. He nodded. Luck's on our side. The race rumored to be in the Thousand Lake Abyss really did surface, and the headmaster personally captured one. Linley drew a deep breath. Good. This way, whether it's Kong Huanyuan or Su Yu, you've got a solid chance of beating them. Besides Sure Xiaolong, a cute girl with twin ponytails smiled. Brother Long, in my eyes you're the undisputed number 1 of this whole tournament. Sure Xiaolong said gently. Don't worry, Yin Yin. I'll take the crown, then go to your family to propose. Until then, you'll wait for me, won't you? Yin Linger nodded, her eyes full of affection. Night fell. In my sleep, I hazily glimpsed a dream. I'd never been so lucid in a dream, clearly knowing it was one. It was a dead silent wilderness and a castle forged from blood. Atop the castle, a woman with pitch-black wings spread, armored like a valkyrie of the battlefield, fought a desperate fight against invading enemies. She was like a skiff in a raging storm, on the verge of capsizing at any moment. Yet like an unshakable king, long wine-red hair spilled behind her, and with a snap of her fingers blood condensed into hundreds upon hundreds of blood knights to fight for her. An ancient hymn turned enemies against their own, and even when she stood alone, she held her ground. The enemies were many, beasts, fey plants, like a bestiary of the myriad races. Except in this memory, they all passed through me like spirit bodies. I gradually drew closer. That woman's face was strangely familiar, exceedingly like Aaliyah's, only with a touch more maturity and the weathering of years. I'd read Aaliyah's diary. She rarely mentioned the past. Was this mature, lovely face her mother? In her arms, she held a small vampire, and she said gently, "Aaliyah, Mama can't stay by your side anymore. The future of the blood race is too heavy for you. Mama only hopes you'll live on happily. Run as far as you can. Leave the forbidden zone and go to the land of Genesis. Everything is there." Before the words had finished, the dream began to collapse. A blood moon, a dragon's roar, the screams of winged beasts piercing the red moon. In the final image, Aaliyah's mother seemed to see me, smiled at me, pushed Aaliyah in my direction, and gently inclined her head. "I'm counting on you." I jolted awake. Beside me, Aaliyah slept soundly, sucking her finger and murmuring softly. Was this her past? The blood race's true ancestor was undying, eternal. Upon nearing death it fell into death's sleep. Aaliyah's mother's whereabouts were unknown. And who were those enemies? What was the land of Genesis? Why had she seen me? Was that her ability? This world was full of secrets. I gently stroked her wine-red hair. "Rest easy, I'll take good care of her. One day, she and I will find you." Aaliyah's diary held so much longing. As her man, it fell to me to help carry that past forward. Sunlight streamed through the window, and the sleeping beauty slowly woke, rubbing her eyes and stretching. "Little one, I think I had a dream." What a coincidence, so did I. And I even made a vow to someone in the dream. Aaliyah tilted her head, puzzled. I promised a woman who seemed to pass through the nightmare and see the reality on the other side of the dream. Aaliyah's deep purple eyes went wide at once, as if something had occurred to her. "You, A teardrop slid from the corner of her eye, and she looked a little at a loss. I pulled her into my arms. "Aaliyah, let's go searching. Grow strong together. Drag out the hidden hand behind it all. One day, we'll find her. Let's go, little one. This king is in top form today." I swept a delighted glance over that ancient contract in my mind. Beast, Aaliyah SSS-RANK, second stage transcendent tier, 2999/3000. Through my unwavering, feeding the tiger with my own body, she'd actually reached this point right before the tournament, just one step from advancing. Crown of Blood's atavism still hadn't activated. I figured this atavism would come at the moment of rank advancement. If I could handle it this time, I wouldn't rush to advance in front of a crowd. If not, The two of us got up and headed to the meeting room. Shangwan Ling brought the first stage arrangements. The 8 participants in the freshman individual battles gathered in a circle. Shangwan Ling said, "The host, Dilling, has announced the first gauntlet battle. The location is Dilling's Abyss Mimicry Field. All 72 of you fight on your own, by a points system, with the top 8 advancing to the knockouts. The Mimicry Field has checkpoints. Clearing each one scores points automatically, and eliminating an opponent earns points too." The group exchanged looks. This was encouraging students from different schools to fight one another. I fell into thought. Top 8 by points advance. So conversely, if you eliminated everyone, wouldn't that mean? Shangwan Ling said softly. "It's an individual battle, but you all know in your hearts what this tournament means." Fey Plant Division S rank student Chen Fei said, "Understood. I propose so you serve as our temporary captain, and that we cooperate as much as possible until the knockouts. How about it?" Shangwan Ling nodded with satisfaction, and the others didn't object. My performance in the individual battles spoke for itself. Only the combat division's Yuan Lang looked a little uneasy, but unwilling to go against the group. He reluctantly agreed. Good. Then I'll look forward to your performances. Let's go. To the teleportation array. Dilling teamed with people today. Many beast tamers from famous overseas universities came to observe as well. Beast tamers were already the backbone of every nation, and the contests between students were quietly becoming an arena for the nations to test their strength. Dilling's Rose Plaza held over 70,000 spectators, and the live stream, counting overseas viewers, had topped 10 million before things even began. Among the freshmen, who do you all think is number one this time? Kong Huan Yuan, I'd say. Dilling's lineup is strong. Moling's no slouch, but a shame. One of the top contenders, Li Mu, got eliminated internally by Su Yu. Su Yu's got a real shot too. He and Aaliyah coordinate seamlessly. Naive. The first match is a free-for-all. If I were Dilling, I'd just swarm Su Yu. Sure, Xiaolong's got a chance too. His gift is terrifying. Outside, the human tide roared like a tsunami, yet before the teleportation array, it was utterly serene. Dilling's Starmark mentor Lin Li handed each of us a jade vial. I'm Lin Li, Dilling mentor, serving as referee for this first gauntlet battle. You'll be teleported to the Abyss Mimicry Field, the Eternal Calamity Abyss. It's the abyss suppressed beneath the Imperial capital, and the only abyss Great Xiao attacks of its own accord. Inside, besides us, 5 high-sequence races hold their ground. The Spirit Void race, the Crimson Python race, the Twin-Headed Griffin, the Three-Eyed Golden Lion, and the Night Yiksha. What makes the Eternal Calamity Abyss unique is that spring, summer, autumn, and winter each bring a different calamity. It's now late autumn, so the calamity is the Snowstorm Calamity. After teleporting, you'll find bone-piercing cold and knife-like gales inside. Survive in there, walk the Snowstorm Road, and slay the beasts of the 5 races that the Mimicry Field generates along the way to earn points. Walking the whole Snowstorm Road earns 100 points, slaying a beast 10 points, eliminating an opponent 10 points. The time limit is 3 hours. After 3 hours, the top 8 by points enter the knockouts. The Abyss is exceedingly dangerous. If you face a danger you can't resolve, crush the Jade Vial, and you'll teleport out. I advise you not to overreach. If you die in there, you really do die. The rules laid out. The group's expressions turned grave. Lin Li sighed softly. They were freshmen who'd only enrolled half a month ago. Even a crowd of geniuses facing a life-or-death trial so soon was, to some degree, hard on them. But war waits for no one. He'd received word from the Forbidden Zone the day before. A certain high-sequence race in the sequence top 20 was planning a war to break through the 9 guards' defenses and invade Blue Star. His mood was a little off. As I lowered my head in thought, someone beside me said, I thought Moling Su Yu would be as sharp and showy as in the matches, but you look rather unremarkable. I raised a brow and glanced over, a faint recollection stirring. Jianghe University, Shi Xiaolong? Shi Xiaolong was about my height, the other championship favorite of this tournament. I'd watched his matches when I was bored. His gift was the combat type. Under his beast's cover, his own destructive power was no less than some high sequences, so his beast leaned toward defense. He nodded. Right. Li Mu, who lost to you. He and I happen to have a bit of a personal connection. I frowned. So you've come to avenge him? His gaze flicked toward a certain spot. No. Him losing to you is on him for lacking skill. I have a proposal. How about we join forces first and take her out? I followed his line of sight. The girl with platinum curls stood among the Dilling team, and together with Aaliyah, they were easily the most striking sight in the whole place. I said, not interested. Don't be ridiculous. She was the very one I wanted to recruit. To be honest, this first match's format was a huge help. If a referee could step in outside, Aaliyah's and my plan would be hard to pull off, but in the mimicry field, anything was possible. I gave a soft laugh. What can I say? I'm a gentleman. Ganging up to bully a girl? As a gentleman, I firmly object. What? If you're not confident, I'll allow you to come try to snatch the peach from my hand after I've beaten her. Sure, Xiaolong's face stiffened. He'd figured I might be arrogant, but this near-charitable tone meant I didn't have him in my sights at all. Fine, then let each rely on his own skill. If you and that vampire are still at the strength you showed against Li Mu, then I'll have to unfortunately inform you. You have not a sliver of a chance. Equally confident, he turned and left. Back with his team, Yanlinger asked, Brother Long, what did you say to him? Sure, Xiaolong said gently, nothing much. Arrogant, as the rumors say. I'll show him what the wall between geniuses really means. Also, I'll pay him back for Li Mu. Isn't he your cousin? Yin Linger nodded with a smile. After Shi Xiaolong left, Aaliyah leaned by my ear. Little one, this king smells another sweet, fragrant scent. Huh. It took me a moment to catch on. She meant the smell of blood. Who? Her gaze locked on. The woman beside that mongrel who came to chat you up just now. I recalled the file. Wait, isn't that Shi Xiaolong's fiancée? Aaliyah nodded. She's not as fragrant as you, but always drinking only your blood. This king feels a bit bad about it. Someone ought to share the load for you. In the blood race before, it had been the 4 blood attendants Mei, Lan, Zhu, and Ju who shared her blood supply. Now it was just me alone. She worried that, over time, she'd drain me dry, and the point was fair. The blood she'd need going forward would only grow. Finding trustworthy partners willing to supply blood did need to be put on the agenda. I put a hand to my forehead. Could such a thing really be arranged? We'll see when the time comes, I answered. In this dog-eat-dog world of war, surviving came first. As for the details of an alliance, that depended on the other party's willingness and had to be taken slowly, it couldn't be rushed. For now, the only thing was to prove my value in the tournament first. I took Aaliyah's hand. Under wave upon wave of light curtains, the teleportation array activated, and 72 students were swept into the eternal calamity abyss mimicry field. Pure white snowflakes blocked my vision, and the biting wind was like a blade. A single misstep could slice open skin. The snowstorm calamity on the snowstorm road, seeing it beat hearing of it. Luckily, before coming I'd gone specially to consult by Ruhuwei and spent 50 credits on a Wraith-grade armament for dealing with the snowstorm calamity. Abyss armament, Candle Shadow grade, Wraith ability, Snow Melt. It emits candlelight within a 10-meter radius. Mana-laden ice and snow within range will thaw. Side effect, its heart sometimes grows too violent. The candle core turning to molten lava. Handle with care. I took out Candle Shadow. Let's move, everyone. It's time to fight for our demon capital. Lu Xian and the others fell in close behind onto the snowstorm road. The gauntlet battle had officially begun. Everyone held a map of the snowstorm road. The road wound through unbroken high mountains. The farther you strayed from the mountain body, the thinner the air and mana, and often within 100 meters of the mountain, beast tamers and beasts below the nirvana tier couldn't withstand the mana depletion. Flying straight over the mountains wasn't realistic. The finish was at the summit. Reaching it earned 100 points, which, plus points along the way, most likely meant outright advancement. The moment we stepped onto the snowstorm road, a gale swept in, snow and ice filling the sky and blanketing our vision. Lu Xian recognized it at once. It's a snowstorm turbulence. It'll scatter everyone to random positions. I frowned. The host, Dilling, had prepared this too. I said decisively, everyone act on your own. It doesn't seem they'll give us a chance to group up. The other 6 nodded gravely. Where you got scattered was purely random. We could only rely on our own skill. Outside the mimicry field, in the Rose Plaza, the commentator, Dilling's dean of students, Yu Cheng, remarked, the eternal calamity abyss periodically triggers snowstorm turbulence, sweeping everyone on the snowstorm road into random positions. In the abyss, anyone can face sudden situations or even desperate straits at any time. How you respond, and whether you're lucky enough, is part of your strength too. Seems someone isn't too lucky. Aaliyah and I were swept into a pine forest at the foot of the snow mountain. 5 others from other schools were swept there with me, 2 of whom I vaguely recognized. Zhu Luan of Great Desert Beast Taming University, 7th on the potential rankings, and Luo Hong of Snowplain Beast Taming University, 9th. The rest, by their uniforms, were from these 2 schools too. The 2 opened their eyes and, without prior agreement, both saw me and each other. Zhu Luan said decisively, Luo Hong, join forces? Luo Hong glanced back. Counting himself, his school had 3, Great Desert had 2. But Su Yu's combat power alone made his heart pound. Frankly, even 3 together might not have a chance, and he hadn't prepared to counter Su Yu's abyss armaments. Fine, Luo Hong eyed me. Sorry to say, meeting you alone, I wouldn't dare take you on. A shame, luck's on our side. The students of the 2 schools instantly reached agreement, the 5 forming up to face me together. I wasn't surprised. No use saying more. In the Rose Plaza, people chattered. He's done, 5 against 1. Such terrible luck. Everywhere else got at least 1 or 2 of their own, and Su Yu's the one swarmed. Is he getting wiped right at the start? Zhu Luan and Luo Hong didn't dare let their guard down. The power I'd shown against Li Mu was tremendously strong, and neither of them had a good answer for mind types. Careful, don't get affected by that vampire. That singing only controls weak beasts. Same tier ones should just be influenced. Good thing this is a snow mountain. Luo Hong of Snow Plain Beast Taming University had a snow fox for a beast. This terrain was quite favorable and might be able to resist the death cultism. The five spread their formation and summoned their beasts. Zhu Luan and another great desert student had a desert blood scorpion burrow into the snow, aiming to strike at Aaliyah from underground. Luo Hong's snow fox became a white blur in the storm, hard to track with the naked eye. The other two had 5-meter-tall snow beasts that hoisted pine trees and swept them forward. The corner of my mouth lifted. I'd never exposed the full extent of Aaliyah's power before, precisely for a moment like this. Did you really think the little toys of Li Mu and Lei he could block a divine era sequence? Aaliyah, bang! The pitch-black wings behind her flung off the storm, and the harp of blood and bone, boosted by crimson points of light, struck up the undying hymn once more. Unlike every duel before, this time the power of the hymn was no longer influence, control, but domination. The demon tune pierced the ears. Boosted by undying, the death cultist hymn even cut through the howling blizzard. The wind and snow flung back wave by wave, as if by the sound waves. Bang! The snow beasts, the snow fox, the desert blood scorpion. Before they even got within 30 meters, they were already under Aaliyah's domination. Luo Hong discovered to his shock that his beast had been severed from him. However he called, the snow fox ignored him. Zhu Luan was even more dumbfounded. Didn't that singing only charm weak beasts? Weren't same tier ones only influenced? I gave a soft laugh. Sorry, luck's on my side. The unlucky ones are you, daring to stand before me without any preparation at all. You are eliminated. The death cultist hymn could command 5 death cultists. You happen to have exactly 5 beasts. I'll take them. The snow fox, snow beasts, and desert blood scorpion wheeled around, bearing their ferocity at the 5. Luo Hong and Zhu Luan backed away in fear. Without beasts, a beast tamer lost most of their combat power. How could they still fight? Aaliyah said scornfully, "Mongrels, this king will borrow these little beasts for a while. If you don't want to die, scram on your own." Behind her, over 100 blood spears gathered, leveled at the 5. The two exchanged unwilling looks and could only crush their jade vials. "We forfeit," the sky announced. Moling University's Suyu eliminates Zhu Luan, plus 10 points. Moling University's Suyu eliminates Luo Hong, plus 10 points. No one had expected that the moment the individual battle began, facing a swarm, I'd insta-wipe them and rake in 50 points. In the Rose Plaza, Yu Cheng was astonished. Unbelievable. Doesn't that vampire only dominate beasts of a lower tier than herself? Last year and this year alike, what Aaliyah had publicly shown was domination of 1 tier below. This time she'd ripped off the disguise outright. The spectators were all startled. Hidden this deep. Anyone who plays tactics has a dirty heart. With no ability to counter mind types, before Suyu you're just free points. Snowplane University popped the champagne too early. Did you really think this snowplane was your home turf? In the sky, a real-time scoreboard showed the points, and I took the lead at number 1. First, Suyu 50 points. Second, Kong Huanyuan 20 points. Third, Shi Xiaolong 20 points. Right from the start, quite a few had been eliminated. Between ordinary geniuses and top geniuses lay a wall of size. The snowstorm road could block the mortal, but not the steps of a genius. I sat on the snow beast's shoulder, Aaliyah on my lap. Legend says killing a special spirit void can yield a spirit void heart to boost spiritual power. A shame the ones in the mimicry field are only simulations. We'd taken out a spirit void beast for another 10 points, but no spirit void heart dropped. Aaliyah asked, "What are you doing?" She saw me bite open my finger and drip a few drops of blood along the way. The summit will probably be a free-for-all. Let me make some preparations first. Aaliyah watched, reluctant, as her rations were fed to the beasts of the snow mountain. She knew well, though, that this was to deal with that rumored spirit witch. Let's go to the summit. The snow mountain was about 3,000 meters, level ground to a capable beast tamer. In about an hour and a half, Aaliyah and I successfully reached the top. At the same time, on the other side of the summit, several familiar faces appeared before me. The giant screen announced, Moling University's Suyu reaches the summit, plus 100 points. Jianghe University's Shi Xiaolong reaches the summit, plus 100 points. He'd made it up first, with Yin Linger and another top 30 potential rankings ace beside him. Shi Xiaolong was a little surprised too, then eyed me warily. I didn't rush to attack and asked quietly, "Aaliyah, can you sense her?" She nodded. She's nearby, but hasn't shown herself." There was a faint resonance between divine era sequences. No exact fix, but she wasn't far. "Wait." On the other side, Yin Linger whispered, "Brother Long, he's alone. Shall we fight? Eliminate him here, and we're at least top 2 this year." Shi Xiaolong shook his head. "Our reinforcements are coming. And look over there." Yin Linger followed his gaze. In the storm, an irregular flow of mana, seemingly camouflage. Catching on, she said directly, "Why hide, famous genius of Dilling?" The words had barely left her when the patch of storm dissolved. Kong Huanyun walked out of the snow, her long curls dancing in the wind, her feet floating, an illusory ripple flickering in her every movement. She said gently, "And here I thought you'd fight among yourselves first. If you'd care to wait quietly here for the gauntlet to end, this little one would gladly watch." She glanced at me again, her eyes shifting as if pondering something. To be honest, Shi Xiaolong's and my scores were already enough to advance, yet no one wanted to stop there. If you could take out an opponent a step sooner, you wouldn't wait. Everyone bore the hopes of their own city. A wordless standoff, as if even the storm had frozen. In the Rose Plaza, the spectators hushed and murmured. I thought we'd only see these 3 clash in the knockouts. First match is the final, one fight to settle it all. Half the time's left, they're probably going to fight. On the commentary stand, Jinqing Beast Taming University's Starmark mentor Zhuang Chu said, "I didn't expect 3 title favorites to meet here. Brother Yu, who do you think has the better chance?" Yu Chung said cautiously, "In strength, they may be evenly matched. I originally thought Kong Huanyuan and Shi Xiaolong were slightly stronger, but Su Yu tore off his disguise. Now it's impossible to predict. Of course, Kong Huanyuan's odds of winning are still high. Her personal combat power alone is no less than a beast's." The standoff didn't last long. I faintly sensed the beast that had drunk my blood drawing closer to the summit. I wasn't sure what trump cards Shi Xiaolong and Kong Huanyuan had prepared, but a chance that was mine to seize had to be seized. The man behind Yin Linger whispered a few words in Shi Xiaolong's ear, and he nodded knowingly. Then, without warning, Shi Xiaolong casually snapped off a branch beside him. It instantly turned into an air-splitting blade, hurtling through the storm at Kong Huanyuan and me. His S-rank gift, Piercing Champion, gave any object in his hand unrivaled piercing destructive force. The fight was on a hair trigger. Aaliyah condensed a blood shield before me. The Piercing Champion broke through 3 layers of blood shield before being dissolved. Before Kong Huanyuan, a violent mana ripple like a spatial distortion tore the blade apart by force. In that instant, all 3 of us charged straight for the summit center. Beneath Kong Huanyuan's feet, the number 36 Snowheart rose proliferated rapidly, ice and snow roses blooming, each bearing thorns of extreme toughness, aiming to pin everyone beneath them. Behind Aaliyah, the harp of blood and bone sounded its undead ripple again. She hadn't granted it the undying attribute from the start, for the Spirit Witch's SSS gift was tied to spiritual power, and that kind of force had limited effect on her. The hymn was only to force her and Shi Xiaolong to split their focus. Shi Xiaolong was prepared too. His beast, number 14 Fate's Black Tortoise, could block all forces and weaken mental intrusion. Hailed as the Abyss's strongest defense, its weakness being a lack of offense, yet it dovetailed with his gift. The demon tune spread, the roses bloomed, the Black Tortoise's spirit body shield condensed, a 3-way melee began. The Snowheart Rose's thorns lashed the tortoise's shell without leaving a single mark. Kong Huanyuan's willowy brows knit slightly. The shell's hardness was beyond imagination, and paired with Shi Xiaolong's Piercing Champion, it was the strongest spear and shield. Aaliyah's hymn couldn't affect the Black Tortoise either, sequence 14, closer to the divine era than the Shadow Nether race, so naturally without undying it had no effect. This was still only a probe. Aaliyah spread her wings, both hands turned toward the 2, Blood Queen. Even though both had prepared abyss armaments against Aaliyah, the blood in their bodies was still manipulated to a degree, their movements lagging. In that split-second gap, I drew my bow and knocked an arrow, Twilight Longbow, a blood arrow piercing forth at a speed the naked eye couldn't catch. Bang! The Black Tortoise's shell was too hard. Even the twilight longbow couldn't pierce it. Kong Huanyuan's side was stranger still. The blood arrow slowed sharply within 10 centimeters of her, finally snapping and dissolving amid a spatial ripple. Counting on the blood arrow to win was impossible. It was only to analyze both sides' abilities. Sure, Xiaolong and his beast were simple and brutal, yet he'd never shown the Black Tortoise's special technique. There might be a trap in that. Kong Huanyuan's Snowheart Rose relied on infinite proliferation as its main combat power, and the ability that snapped both the blood arrow and the piercing champion was likely a space-twisting force. Her other ability still needed probing. Kong Huanyuan's lips curved slightly. Her SS rank ability, Spirit Void Phantom, could at the transcendent grade distort 3 patches of space within a 10-centimeter radius, with an extremely high growth ceiling. But once it was figured out and hit with a dense barrage, it would be overwhelmed, which was why she'd chosen the Snowheart Rose to shore up her defense. Whatever happened, she couldn't be led by the other two, just as I planned. Kong Huanyuan held the same thought. Her spiritual power was a tier above mine, the Spirit Lake tier, yet she'd held off contracting a third beast, all to wait for a divine era or a top-ranked high sequence. Now the chance had appeared right before her, and she'd specially contracted a second Fey plant for the capture. Wait, deal with Sure Xiaolong first, then unleash the Witch's Knight. Otherwise, once started, it would force these two to join forces, and an incomplete Witch's Knight probably couldn't trap them both. The three traded blows back and forth, yet still kept a relative restraint. Outside the mimicry field, Zhuang Chu said, Suyu isn't at any disadvantage at all against these two. Whoever gets ganged up on first probably says goodbye to the crown. Yuqing smiled. Is that so? Not necessarily. Don't forget, Sure Xiaolong's side still has 2 more people. Only then did the spectators notice that, while the 3 traded fierce blows, Yin Linger and another person had joined forces to lay down a spirit array. No wonder Sure Xiaolong was the first to attack. They'd prepared all along. I was wondering why Jianghe University slipped in a useless B-rank talent. Turns out his beast was for setting up the teleportation array. Yin Linger's gift is Spirit Body Soul Split. She can split off a spirit body to find others' whereabouts. It looks like 1v1v1, but it's about to become Jianghe University's gang up. Inside the mimicry field, I noticed Yin Linger quietly arranging something. My own side needed about 15 more minutes. Right then, a pack of beasts from the 5 races, chasing my blood, was climbing the snowstorm road. Could it be? Aliyah, hit that side first. I beat my shrieking dragon wings into the air, drew the bow long, and a blood arrow shot out. Kong Huanyuan also noticed Yin Linger and her companions standing stock still, as if secretly laying a teleportation spirit array at a crucial juncture. And the Snowheart Rose shot up from the ground to wreck the array's surface. Sure Xiaolong's lips curled. It's already over. The moment I made my move, you lost your chance. Sorry to say, you can't break through my defense. Black Tortoise, Fate's Black Shield. Fate's Black Tortoise's shell rose into the air, glowing with golden light, an energy shield stretching across in front of Yin Linger. However strong the blood arrows piercing or fast the Snowheart Rose's proliferation, neither could reach behind the black shield. Absolute defense. Yin Linger clapped her hands. All set. We noticed a pale blue halo shoot straight to the heavens. Yin Linger's soul-split spirit body had long since found all 8 Jianghe University players and replicated the teleportation array at their locations. A teleportation array was utterly unsuited to combat, extremely slow to draw, easily interrupted, only one way, and requiring everyone to be found and to enter at the same moment. But this suited Yin Linger perfectly. Her soul split could achieve absolutely secure communication and teleportation in the abyss. Halo after halo rose. In the snow mountain, the Jianghe students who'd been fighting beasts or dueling opponents stepped, at the same instant, into the prepared arrays. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Halo after halo slammed onto the summit. Sure Xiaolong drew a strangely shaped alms bowl from his robes, brimming with confidence. Looks like it's time to put a period on this tournament. You have no chance. This was the dragon-grade treasure the Jianghe headmaster had found in the Thousand Lake Abyss, the Thousand Lake Bowl. Low-tier beast tamers certainly couldn't use a dragon-grade armament, but this was a natural divine era treasure, hailed as a divine era relic. It needed no forging into an armament to begin with, had no side effects or tier limit, and was one of the most coveted treasures of the abyss. To crush Kong Huanyuan and me, Shi Xiaolong and Jianghe University had bet everything on this first match. In the harsh snowstorm calamity, the Thousand Lake water the Thousand Lake Bowl poured out would turn into an avalanche and snow roar, utterly burying the two of us, while the Jianghe University members upwind would take all the knockout slots unscathed. The situation turned sharply. The once balanced three-way standoff suddenly became a great crisis for Kong Huanyuan and me. Cheers in the Rose Plaza surged wave upon wave, and Shi Xiaolong's championship odds shot from 1 to 4.5 all the way up to 1 to 1.5. The direct teleportation of spirit body soul split, the back-flooding thousand lakes of a dragon-grade treasure. Jianghe University had prepared a great deal to win this match. Shi Xiaolong stood upwind, Thousand Lake Bowl in hand. Surrender. I was waiting for reinforcements just now. What were you waiting for? Behind him, Yin Linger and 6 others summoned their beasts and stood behind the black tortoise, utterly unafraid of the death cultists him. It seemed that once the Thousand Lake Bowl tipped, it meant the other side's defeat. But then, Aliyah raised her hand, crimson points of light glinting on the black shield. Kong Huanyuan caught her meaning. Right now, she had to cooperate with me a little to stop the Thousand Lake Bowl from activating. Spirit Void Phantom. Undying Blood Queen. My blood arrow had been stopped by the tortoise's shell, but the blood had stayed on it. Kong Huanyuan's Spirit Void Phantom twisted off a bit of the shell. Crack. Those undying crimson points of light turned the blood of my arrow into an undying holy lance of blood. Bang. The blood lance punched through Shi Xiaolong's right arm. Ack. He believed utterly in the black tortoise's absolute defense, with no contingency at all for the shield being shattered. Still less had he expected a force that could rip the shell apart in an instant. The Thousand Lake Bowl slipped from his hand. Aliyah's blood condensed into a blood claw and snatched at it. Shi Xiaolong, heedless of the pain and unable to destroy the blood lance, simply used the moment to activate Piercing Champion, nailing the blood lance toward the blood claw, his left hand reaching again for the Thousand Lake Bowl. In that sliver of a gap, the 5 death cultists Aliyah controlled with the him, 2 desert blood scorpions, 2 snow beasts, 1 snow fox, had already rushed up to tangle with Yen Linger's 6. Since they weren't my own beasts, I felt not the slightest pity, letting them carve a bloody path by trading wounds for lives. Bang bang. The desert blood scorpions, ill-suited to the environment, were the first beaten into blood water, but the snow beasts and snow fox danced in the storm, pinning down the rest of Jianghe University's S-rank students. Shi Xiaolong didn't hesitate. He activated the Thousand Lake Bowl. The lake-shaped bowl poured out the Thousand Lake water, water blessed by the spirits of the lakes that could dissolve all evil in the world. The Thousand Lake water gushed down and, in the freezing snowstorm calamity, instantly turned to ice and snow, set to bury Aliyah and me. Aliyah held back no longer, pressing her palms together. Boom. A violent blast erupted from the ground. All the blood she could now control became a wall of blood that crashed head-on into the ice and snow. The blood seeped into the ice and snow. When a lifeless thing was mixed with blood, that was the moment she commanded it. So it was with the phantasm binding release, and so it was with the Thousand Lake water. A strange scene unfolded. The Rose Plaza erupted in gasps. The Thousand Lake water, under Aliyah's control, leapt up from the ground and surged in reverse towards Shi Xiaolong. Shi Xiaolong was shocked. The water was completely beyond his control, moving instead at Aliyah's command. Aliyah gave a scornful smile. A divine era relic. How could it contend with the true divine era? Swoosh, swoosh. The Thousand Lake water back flooded the heavens, and Shi Xiaolong was swept into a vortex by the very water he'd summoned. The black shield drew him into itself, yet he was still gravely wounded. Yen Linger hurried to catch him as he was struck down. The 2 Starmark mentors in the plaza were incredulous. She can actually control the Thousand Lake water in reverse? That's a divine era relic. No, she fused blood into the water. For a second there, I thought Shi Xiaolong had won for sure. The power Aliyah displayed had far surpassed a number 99 vampire, even a touch stronger than a Moonlight Apostle. Could she be a Moonlight Divine Envoy? Shi Xiaolong spat a large mouthful of blood, his chest heaving violently. Kong Huanyuan's lovely eyes widened a fraction, the fervor in her gaze toward Aliyah deepening another 3 parts. Yin Linger held him with aching tenderness. When the strongest spear was no longer sharp and the strongest shield could not defend, even the genius she'd first idolized had moments of helplessness. Sure Xiaolong's vitality surged wildly, and he said to those beside him, "Cover for me. I still have a second beast." The dejected hearts around him lifted at once. That's right, they hadn't lost yet. The school's trump hadn't shown its full power, and they still held the numerical advantage. And Aaliyah, after pouring everything into one strike to block a divine era relic, had already burned through most of her blood and surely couldn't keep it up. Even her frame had shrunk a bit. A chance. But just then, roar after roar tore through the storm, and even the cold wind seemed less biting beneath the howls. Roar! A chill seized everyone's hearts, and they all looked behind me. Out of the shadows came beasts that blotted out the sky, the humanoid spirit bodies of the spirit void race, the crimson python race crawling and spitting flames that feared neither wind nor snow, the flying twin-headed griffins, the racing three-eyed golden lions, the night yikshaws beating their wings and brandishing forks. This vast number, even a few thousand probably wouldn't cover it. And these beasts gathered together without conflict, without going berserk, all of low tier, many still at the first stage awakened tier. The mimicry field hadn't generated powerful beasts, which happened to suit me. My crown of blood could now only drive powerful beasts berserk, not effectively control them, but low-tier beasts I could dominate at will. I looked at Sir Xiaolong and laughed softly. I was waiting for reinforcements. What were you waiting for? Those few small fry. Surely those aren't the reinforcements you meant? Open your eyes and look. This is what reinforcements are. Thousands of beasts followed my fatal temptation blood, dominated by Crown of Blood, becoming my absolutely loyal blood attendants. Even Kong Huanyuan's eyes went wide. Only now did she recall that in my entrance exam battle I'd set an outrageous record using blood. At first she and Dilling had analyzed and concluded that my ability could only dominate about 100 low-end beasts. After all, the blood ant's back then had only gone berserk, so I'd seemed nothing to fear. But he was like a walking natural disaster. The sky's announcement rang out at the most inopportune moment. Moling University's Suyu dominates 3,277 beasts, plus 32,770 points. The students who hadn't reached the summit and didn't know what was happening stared at the sky in shock, as if the world had a bug. Did this mimicry field blow a fuse? 30,000 points? How does he control that many beasts? Suyu's gift seems to control low-tier beasts, so now there probably aren't any beasts blocking the way in the snow mountain, which means we can go to the summit too. Let's go, let's go. The scores on the giant screen looked stranger the more you looked. First, Suyu, 32,990 points. Second, Kong Huanyuan, 260 points. Third, Sher Xiaolong, 230 points. Under my absurd maneuver, the scores had lost all meaning. Facing the sky-blotting horde of beasts behind me, Sher Xiaolong and the others wore grim faces, and Yin Linger had gone deathly pale. They'd been fairly confident a divine era relic could deal with my ability, but Aaliyah had crushed the Thousand Lake Bowl, leaving them utterly powerless against the beast horde. The beasts lifted Aaliyah and me up. I looked down from on high. My ability, King of Sequences. To grovel at the king's feet is the instinct of all living things. Come at me, all of you together. They looked up at me, indignant at my arrogance, yet unable to deny that in that moment I was like black clouds pressing down on a city. Outside the mimicry field, Zhuang Chu said, "Looks like Su Yu's about to win. He's practically a walking natural disaster." Yu Qing shook his head. "No, it's still too early to say. Natural disasters aren't Su Yu's alone. The Witch's Knight, Kong Huanyuan, like Su Yu, has the power to trigger a disaster." The spectators' eyes all turned to Kong Huanyuan. Facing the thousands of beasts, her frame slowly rose, her hands forming seals as she intoned. "Recount the eternal night. The dawn draws near. Let the pitch-black night veil the heavens. Still, the hoping spirit hymns of paradise. Awaken, Witch's Night." With Kong Huanyuan at the center, pitch-black ribbons burst forth in an instant, blanketing heaven and earth, painted with obscure, oppressive images. A witch's dream carved upon the darkness of night. Aaliyah hopped to my side. Here it comes. The power of the spirit witch line, the Witch's Night. The inherent domain the witch released overlaid her mind image space upon every living thing within 1,000 meters, dragging them into another layer of barrier space. In this space, the power of the divine era sequence, spirit witch, would be fully unleashed. The sky, the earth, the distance, nothing but that eternal pitch-black night, and abstract little figures bearing eerie smiles, figures that seemed to record some long-buried memory. The spirit void race, masters of space and the mind. The once-a-century spirit which fused these two into one, making the absolute wall between the imagined space and reality no longer absolute, so that everything on that canvas could become her power. I felt no fear. On the contrary, the fervor in my heart grew. This was worthy of the divine era's name. This was what made the great risk I'd taken to recruit you worthwhile. Kong Huanyuan's power was fully unleashed. Her other Fey plant, the Sky Thunder Nether Bamboo, and the Snowheart Rose erupted in full. The low-tier beast behind me wailed in agony amid the two Fey plants' slaughter, blood staining the earth red. At the same time, from that canvas, the Reaper's scythe, the Elf's longbow, the dragon's collapsing roar broke free of imagination into reality, wave after wave of merciless, destructive killing, a very scroll of world ending. Shi Xiaolong opened his eyes and looked at the sky. He'd assumed he'd grasped the divine arrow relic, that the power of the divine arrow was nothing more than this. But only in this moment did he understand he'd been peering at a leopard through a tube, utterly unable to contend. And Suyu? However strong that vampire was, could she possibly stand against the divine era's barrier? The mind image space was undisturbed by the outside. No one outside knew at all what was happening within. The summit was empty, not a soul in sight.